So here are all of my encouragements for you all to make terrible decisions, as I am the GM.
Ash has a crossbow bolt in her side, 0 dots in skirmish, and 0 dots in wreck. And I'm so excited to see this get even worse. So that's 1 vote for escalation.
Skelly has 3 guns and all the ammo.
Crossroads has no guns, but Crossroads is a gun powered by ghosts.
Have we established that your guns are special to you? I feel like we're establishing that your guns are special to you.
Before this crew, they were my only friends.
You've known us for 5 days. You've known those guns a lot longer.
These are my babies.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to harvest, this doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
This is not.
No.
This is
Like,
not
don't do
the
this.
thing.
Yeah.
Doing this to an executioner?
Yeah, that's not what you
Just
want.
like this, like...
We call that the go sign, you know? Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
This theme's great. I will do a fortune roll. Notes. No thoughts. Head empty. 1! I rolled a 1!
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, that is our new intro video from the mind of Mike Smith and from the players that you've seen before you on many occasions. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to a special Speculate channel event. Welcome to episode 4 of this game, Rebel Crown. I am Arvin Illeron, your host at this channel, and I am one of the players tonight. I'm very excited about that. But before we go any further, I do want to remind people about ways to support us here on the channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow us here on the channel. Please check out the YouTube, !ArvTube, Discord, !ArvCord, Twitter, !ArvTweets, and the website for all of this is arvinelleron.com. I will get to Speculate's part of this in just a moment, by the way. !Arv is the Patreon for the channel. That is much appreciated if you can support that. !Arv Shop has merchandise that you can get for the various campaigns on this channel as well. And we've got, of course, !Arv and then, of course, you can sub to the channel that gets those awesome sub badges and emotes and all that kind of good stuff as well. Icarus is the Icarus graphic novel that was just received the silver medal from the Independent Book Publishers Association for Best Graphic Novel of 2020. Very grateful to the judges for that. That was a big deal for us, so we're very excited about that. Greyshade KS is my Greyshade Kickstarter. Athos Arts will be doing the book portion of that, and they'll be publishing Greyshade in that series very soon. Athos, of course, the publisher of record for Icarus as well. And Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment that will be handling the tabletop part of that Greyshade Kickstarter. And that will be coming out in physical edition. The Tales and Tomes will be. As soon as it gets out of customs, for the love of God, please release it from the dock. Please, God. It's already there. We just need to get it. In the meantime, digital edition is for everyone else as well. Finally, BLM, Black Lives Matter, always important to affirm and assert the significance of Black lives. And Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Please reach out to others if you need help. Reach out to others if they need help as well. But in particular today, what we would like you folks to be able to focus on is our podcast Speculate. Speculate will give you the details there. The Speculate has its own Patreon. This is a joint production of this channel and of Speculate. And I am very happy to have our co-hosts and our amazing players here as well. Just one quick note about schedule, which is tomorrow we'll be doing some Metroid Prime on this channel, and on Sunday we will have more Speculate for you, so it's a Speculate weekend, because we're going to have Speculate and Blades in the Dark, the Case of the Cindered Seal, with the inimitable Brandon O'Brien as your GM. That's going to be coming up on Sunday. So we've got a big few days in front of us, and of course we have something else which I'm going to talk about when we get to the rest of the players and the crew. So I am going to unmute myself so the folks know that we're ready to go. I'm going to apologize in advance for interrupting anyone that I may have done because I can't hear them yet. Now I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to reveal the incredible and amazing full crew of Rebel Crown, getting ready to, we won some tournaments. So I have no doubt that now that we've won all the tournaments, that the rest of the game will just fall into our hands. I assume that everyone else has Maedoc is unconditionally surrendered, I assume, and awaits punishment. And I'm just very excited for that. And I can tell by Mike's reaction that this is 100% true. I'm going to hand things over to Mike, but I do want to mention just before I do so that several of the people you see on this screen are going to be actively involved in my charity convention to benefit the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, which is going to be the last weekend of this month of May. It's going to begin on Friday the 28th. It will end on our overtime day, Monday the 31st. ArvCon now goes into a fourth day, and that fourth day is going to feature my two spectacular co-hosts. It is going to feature Mike Underwood, who is going to be running a game for Damon Runyon scientists. So that is like super awesome. That was actually the suggestion of the folks at Damon Runyon. They said, would you like some of the scientists to play in these games? Like, of course we would like that. So that's going to be really awesome. And I'm so happy that Mike, a wonderful GM, has volunteered to do that. So I'm very grateful to Mike, and also very grateful as always to Brandon, who is going to be running. I don't know if we figured out that it's definitely Sound Clash yet on Monday, Brandon?
Definitely Sound Clash is happening, and I'm wondering if we can do some other things as well.
Oh, well, I'm excited to talk about that. So at least we got Sound Clash happening. But yes, Brandon is going to be involved in that also. So I am really hoping we have a great session there. I just got in the mail today the metal tin type, like framed, incredible photograph done by Rock God, which is, spectacular. I'm going to be unveiling that tomorrow. It is really spectacular. That's going to go to the top donator. And of course, Prince Justin, Paul Weimer, is sending a small print, also metal print, of one of his best photos, which is going to go to the second top donator. So I have got two incredible photographers contributing their stuff. And so really grateful to everyone. I'm not going to keep going on about it, except I did want to highlight Mike and Brandon's role in it, and I'm thankful to both of them. They are wonderful people. And now with that said, I'm going to hand things over to Mike, the GM, to get us started with introductions in this awesome game and all that good stuff. So Mike, thank you again for being part of ArvCon, and over to you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I have just sent off an email to start coordinating game stuff with the scientists, and I'm really excited to see what they're into and what we can get up to. So tonight we are continuing our game of Rebel Crown, titled Splendor and Shadow. Rebel Crown is a Forged in the Dark role-playing game created by Michael Dunn O'Connor and Narrative Dynamics. Because it is the first creator day on itch, where creators get, I think, 100% of the proceeds, as in itch as a vendor is not taking a percentage today. So if you have been thinking about picking up Rebel Crown, this is a great time to do it, because the creator will get all of that money. I've put the link into chat. That is narrative-dynamics.itch.io/rebel-crown. Too many /dash.
Yep.
Slashing and dashing, which is, of course, what Harvest will be doing in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to be GMing the game. It's been an absolute delight to have all of these wonderful players, and I'm going to invite them to briefly introduce or reintroduce themselves to everyone. If you're here, you've probably been watching before, and/or you know these lovely people, but you never know. It might be the first day. And if I can start with my illustrious third co-host, Brandon, if you want to start the intros for us real quick. Possibly not. Brandon may have been frozen and summoned away.
Or is deep in thought.
I thought they were just holding really still.
Yeah, I thought they were just like very focused on preparing their moment here.
Statue.
Just preparing to sharpshoot or something out of the air.
Wait for it.
There's a Brandon.
Oh, there we go.
Did
There we go.
freeze? I suspect that I froze. I'm very sorry.
You looked
it's
very
all good.
thoughtful, though, for that moment. You were like full focus mode, just like. Oh no! I made it happen again. I returned Brandon to focus mode. I will never.
Oh
speak
my
again.
god, the internet is actively betraying me for a moment. So I'm gonna see if I can. Can you all see me and hear me?
Can hear
We
you.
can hear
For you.
Now we think we see you. I think.
Okay, I'm gonna try my very best to see how useful I can be in this moment.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandon O'Brien. As previously mentioned, I am the third host of the Speculate crew. And in this game, I will be playing Rowan Byrne, the crew's outlaw, who is attempting to regain lost honor as a result of partially being responsible for the kingdom being in the turmoil that it presently is in. Yeah, so that's me.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we may need you to repeat yourself if internet stuff comes up, but we will let you know, and hopefully everything will resolve and it will be just fine. Alex, do you want to go next, or may I invite you to go next?
Okay. Yes, I'm Alex Acks. I'm playing Splendour Ciaran Lolaire, who was knocked off the throne by my shitty uncle. So we're gonna go murder him. It's great. And I'm a writer, and you can find me at katsadon.net and patreon.com/AlexAx, where I'm currently watching Resident Alien, which is super fun.
Oh, cool. I'll be excited to hear about that. DongWon, if you want to reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm DongWon Song. I'm a literary agent. And on this show, I am playing Harvest Honeysuckle. They were the former royal executioner and has joined the Splendour in their quest to reclaim the throne.
Awesome. And Greg, if you can briefly introduce your character before I go into recap.
Yep, I am playing Veneration, the Vengeant. I am a general, former general, and soon to be not former anymore, and military advisor to my cousin, Ciaran Lolaire, who was, as previously mentioned, wrongfully taken off the throne by that piece of crap, Maedoc. And last session, I was teetering on the edge of a cliff for most of it, and somehow, with the help of all of these wonderful people, managed to barely pull out the defeat of this Man Mountain guy. And so that was a little freaky, and I think I have about 758 stress, roughly. But we made it through, and we won at least that part of the tournament, so I'm excited for tonight.
Cool.
That's a very low estimate of stress, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I'm probably underselling it, right?
Yeah, and if you are not familiar with this game, you could be new. I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm an author and podcaster, so I do Speculate with Greg and Brandon. I also occasionally appear on the Skiffy and Fanty Show. My latest book is Genrenauts: The Wasteland War, which is a metafictional, genre-hopping adventure series. This most recent one is very much informed by Apocalypse World and Mad Max Fury Road. It's a very fun series that you might enjoy. We are playing Rebel Crown tonight, and last time on Rebel Crown, we left our retinue in the middle of an attempt to impress House Gearr, who are the controllers of the city of Bellheather and environs, and are vassals of House Tarv, which is one of the major houses under the kingdom as ruled by Maedoc Lolaire. And so we had some jousting that Greg referred to, where Venner squared off against the legendary warrior, the Man Mountain, and managed to unseat him in the joust, which was a great feat that took a lot of very good dice rolling. We had some surveying and scoping out of the situation that was done by a variety of characters. The characters are currently most of them are disguised through themselves and or some magical cloaks that were acquired by Rowan from Roz the Witch, who is Rowan's kind of lifelong dear friend up in the province of Saltcrag, where the rest of the Fenag witches are. And so we have a social plan more or less going on. It's started deception, and they are trying to do some stuff to put them into a position to increase their relationship with House Gearr. If you haven't been following the game, House Gearr is a local power. They are being pressured by House Gearr, which is a larger power who have married into House Lolaire. So the current queen is from House Gearr. And so Gearr is kind of in a bit of a tight spot, as are a lot of people in this world. At the very end of the last session, I cut away to a counter ambush that was launched by a sub-faction of the Sluach, which is like a mercenary, cool, fighty people, sneaky people organization that Brandon created that their character is a part of. And so Katrina, who mostly is a bounty hunter, kind of counter ambushed Drosten, who's the head of Drosten's bandits, when the Drosten's bandits tried to take a caravan that was carrying food down to Belheather. And Katrina pulled out a crossbow to shoot Drosten, but instead Isbale, the kind of experienced wolfish bandit, jumped in the way and took the bolt for Drosten. But we're not gonna focus there right now. We're gonna cut back to our player characters and leave Brandon to chew their fingernails a little bit more as things go on. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna play some, and then every so often I'm gonna cut back to that scene, and we're gonna roll competing dice pools. And
but then no story advancement. Just roll the dice and like, all right, thanks.
I'll do some narration.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in the Sedgelands, people's lives are.
He'll just be like, roll a dice, and then we'll roll, and then he'll be like, that's interesting.
Meanwhile, Rowan is just watching people play archery for fun.
Right.
Like,
he spends 20 minutes like focusing on a raven flying over the bird. It had nothing to do with anything. It just like, you're like, what's going on with this? You're like, but there's a raven. Look at the raven.
It's just going to be 2 hours of fortune rolls that I ask y'all to do, and I go, interesting, and like pretend like I'm typing. No, it will not be that.
Oh, I better note that down.
Oh my god!
Like my stress meter as the player is going up.
So that everyone's stress is back.
So
hey Mike, before you go on, can I just ask
self.
quickly? Do you want? Would you like the music that we have like running in the background for this or no? For the chat or do you want to do it on Roll20? I just want to know if you wanted any like audio going on music wise.
Yeah, if you want to have it on fairly lowly, it'd be great if the folks who are watching can hear it, but not in any way that will interfere with being able to hear the voices.
Nope.
And so what I'd say, if y'all are in chat, if the music is too high or for other reason you can't hear us or understand what we're saying, please let us know. We want to make sure that as many people who are here are able to understand and enjoy.
Yep. Thanks.
So that is that. That's basically our recap. Back at kind of the tournament grounds in Belheather, I think I'm going to we're going to kind of swoop down from kind of there are hills to the east of Belheather, so we're going to kind of zoom in on the field, and if it's okay with you, DongWon, we're going to cut into on the field are like 80 people. And this is the melee about to begin.
Okay.
So if you want, I'd love for you to describe kind of Harvest's look and attitude as everyone is on the field kind of milling about, waiting for the melee to begin.
I have some kind of disguise on my head, and I have forgotten what that was. It's just
I think
a hood.
it was like a hat with like a veil.
Oh, a hat. Oh, right. I have a fancy hat with a veil on it. Yes, that is correct.
I really just had this image of a gardener's hat. I just want to say, like a big, long, floppy gardener's hat.
I think it's like a beekeeper's hat. Yeah, but it's not like attached to the bottom. It's like a loose beekeeper's hat. Right. Yeah. So I have that on, which I have marked 1 load of subterfuge supplies. And then I found my good new friend Colm. We did some stretching together. We did a little bit of light sparring, and we've decided that we are going to team up to take on the Man Mountain. And then once we've dispatched him, we'll get about to the rest of the fray. So our plan is right now to cut a path through these 80 people as quickly as possible to get to the Man Mountain, defeat him, and then every man for himself from there on out.
Okay, cool. So I think
himself, as it were.
There's a horn that is your signal to kind of attend to the kind of the noble stands, and Lord Sagain, so Lady Sienna Sagain's husband, kind of steps up and addresses the melee, and Lady Sagain is kind of at the throne seat that's been assembled. I think there's like a special term for this that I learned when I was in the SCA, but I've forgotten it at this point. because it was several years ago now.
Got
So
in the face of your father.
I mean, I remembered augmentation of arms for banners last time, so I feel pretty okay. So he kind of gives you the rules. Because in Crobhan death is broken, you're absolutely not to kill anyone. So in the melee, you are fighting to unconsciousness or yield. So if someone yields, they kind of disengage from the fight, stow or put away their weapon and withdraw from the field, and you're not to continue striking them. Otherwise, you are fighting to unconsciousness, and there are kind of medics and priests on hand. And Lord Sigane again says, now remember, even if you don't win, you may still be invited to become a sworn sword of House Sigane. And you may find yourself, months or years from now, fighting side by side with someone who you trade blows with here today. So it might be wise to not throw any blows that you would be afraid of facing recompense for in years to come. Fight clean, fight smart, and impress us. And then he kind of nods to the kind of bugler, who gives the one to get ready, and everybody kind of shuffles, and there's some groups and some mini factions assembling. And because the Man Mountain is huge, DongWon, Harvest can see that he is kind of most if not all of the way across the other side of the field. You see Colm, probably 10 or 15 feet away to avoid being too obvious. So you are correct in that you're going to have to fight your way there to get to the Man Mountain. And the way I'm going to do this is basically you've got the obstacle there, you've got the Man Mountain, and then depending on how that goes, there may be something else for the rest of this. And what I want to say to everybody else is this is a game that includes flashbacks. So if there is some place where you want to impact the melee through having had already done something, let me know. Just say, hey, I'd like to do a flashback here. If you have inventive or other ways of thinking about how you might grant an assist to Harvest, please be sure to do that. Last time we got a lot of time focusing on Venner in the joust, and I do want to give Harvest their kind of time in the sun with this melee here, but I want to make sure that everybody gets to stay involved. And hopefully this will not take too long so that we can do some other fun things, since this part is just the beginning of the sortie, sort of. It's a big plan, and I really like it. So, yeah.
I very quickly do want to interject to ask a very Rowan Byrne question.
Sure.
Which is, how aware am I of the punishments that would be meted out for obvious cheating in these games?
Obvious cheating. I think that ranges from minor cheating will get you thrown out. More extensive cheating would probably get you thrown in the stocks that are at the kind of one of the crossroads in Belheather.
Noted.
You mean more cheating, right? After the
yes, more cheating, but like cheating in ways that it becomes obvious that someone has cheated, rather than just that stone could have come from anywhere.
Just don't get caught. It's fine.
So yeah, I think the horn to start the melee is blown, and DongWon, if you want to describe kind of the first few moments of Harvest in the melee before I give you an obstacle.
So is this just like all of us in a circle running into the middle, or two sides running at each other from opposite ends? Like what's this look like physically?
So it's probably about 100 feet by 60 feet, and that you have that whole space. And there's, it probably needs to be bigger than that. Like, let's say 120 feet by 80 feet. And you would guess that there's around 80 people. So there's not a lot of room between you and anybody else. And it is technically a free-for-all. So there are going to be people who are allied, like, they've decided to have a team up, or they came in with people together. But there is to only be one winner of the melee declared.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So even if you have an alliance, at some point you would
Right.
have to kind of square off.
Right. And so the Man Mountain is at the front at this point for me right now.
Yeah, so you'd have to get through a lot of folks.
Okay. So if I just wanted to charge across the field at him, I'm assuming like what? Okay, sorry. There's so many things. I'm just trying to figure out what my options here are, right? So I have two ideas. One is just to charge through everybody and just sort of push myself to use my force multiplier to perform a feat of physical force that verges on the superhuman, which is to be a running cannonball through this field, clearing a path for me and Cole, right? Yeah. The other is to find a group that are fighting together, and Colm and I take them on ourselves.
So I have in mind an option for the second, and so I think maybe the way to do this is actually I'm gonna remove the clock that I had thought of, and I'm going to borrow from the from this game. Actually gives us this idea of it has rules for larger battles, and in a large battle there is a clock for the field and there is a clock for the foe, and the field is the general flow of combat, and so that's kind of, there's a bunch of people here. The clock for the foe will be the Man Mountain, and so to be the winner you will need to fill both clocks. And so if you fill the clock for the field, then it will basically be down to you and Colm and the Man Mountain. But you can address them in either order in general. But right now, fictionally, you would need to roll to get to the point where you could then roll to address the foe.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to address the field first, which I think is going to be me diving into the biggest cluster of people I can find, whipping out my enormous sword and sort of like Dynasty Warrior style doing a whirlwind / into it to send as many people flying as I can, right? I mean, I recognize we're a more grounded setting than that, but you know, narratively at least, trying to do a big...
Are we though?
Are we?
I think I would say 1-2 steps below a Muso game, but probably around a Arkham Knights game, like Arkham Asylum, that type of like big, jumpy, flowy combat game.
I'm going to just imagine Harvest with a bunch of lightning bolts over their head every so often as something comes close, like counter.
Yeah, counter dodge. Yeah.
To give you some specifics to work with, pretty quickly you identify a trio of women. And you may have heard of these three. These are the Doyle sisters, Riley, Reagan, and Rory. And one is tall and fairly lean and carries a spear. The other two are shorter and more like solidly built, and they fight with sword and shield. And they are very good at fighting together. So they are like a mobile scorpion unit, where the two with shields are protecting their spear-wielding sister and fouling blades as the spear is kind of striking and making space for them.
Okay, so I think I'm going to target them. And the idea is to come in fast and sort of do a sweeping upstrike to knock the shields back and then catch the tall one, just all in one hit, right? And to do that, I'm using my force multiplier move. So I am going to push myself in this moment. And I don't know, that either is a feat of physical force that verges on superhuman or engaging a small gang. It's sort of your call which one that is. So what's my positioning there if I do that?
So you'd be in a risky position. I think engage a small gang on equal footing is probably the thing that is mechanically most clear to me, because that just takes scale out of the equation. So that your scale equals them. So you would start at risky standard because after you use force multiplier.
Okay. I'd like to also put myself into desperate great if I could.
Yeah.
So that gives me an extra +1d as well, and -1d to any resistance.
Right.
That. So, you know, things go bad, they go real bad for me.
So yeah, that would mean that on a success, you would fill 3 of the 4 ticks of the foe. And what that probably means is you beat the Doyle sisters and then a few people along the way.
Right.
Because the field will also be narrowing along kind of as time goes on. So yeah, that gives you desperate, great.
I have a fine dueling weapon. Does that does fine affect my roll in some way?
Yeah, that increases your effective tier. The field is definitely not tier 2.
Okay.
So yeah, let's be on our bullshit. So if you hit this with full effect, you will clear the field, and we'll describe a much longer chunk of this fight. But I think at this point, your like how well this goes and your effect level describes how many beats we describe, determines how many beats we describe with this roll.
Right. That makes sense narratively. Okay, so currently I'm at 3d6. Desperate, great. I can't take a devil's bargain because I've already pushed myself, correct?
I think we have been doing that. You can do both, and I'm happy to have that be a thing.
What's my devil's bargain?
I think the devil's bargain is so should I can tell you the meaner one first, and then you can say no to it, and I have a backup.
Okay.
The meaner one is that the Sluach get an extra die in the first dice off fortune roll against Drostan's Raiders.
Okay. Do I get more bonus if I take the mean one, or is it the same?
I think it's the same. I just want to flag that as a thing that I'm holding over here. Yeah, I mean, I could give more. Yeah, I would give you 2 extra dice.
Sweet.
If you
Done.
let me.
Okay.
We're just gonna make things harder there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about that part of it. I want to wipe this field clean.
Somewhere Drostan's like, what? Something happened. I don't know.
Force multiplier is.
It doesn't necessarily remember who Drostan is, for the record. So that's part of what's happening here.
Rowan is in this stance going, I have no reason to believe this, but I think that Harvest is going to hurt my feelings today.
Harvest has been given a job, and they're going to get it done. That's all that's happening right now.
I think it's clear here that DongWon is making the choice that is bad for Drostan.
Yes.
Harvest is just doing what they do. Yeah, so that's desperate extreme with 2 bonus dice, it looks like.
3 bonus dice. Because I have the +1d from Courageous.
Oh, of course.
And then you're giving me 2,
Yep,
so I'll be rolling 5d6. Yeah.
All right.
Let's do that.
Let's see what the dice say.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's Skirmish.
Skirmish is going to give you the most effect here, absolutely.
Okay. So Desperate, Extreme, 3 bonus dice, fingers crossed.
Nice.
And that's 2 6s.
Yeah, so that's 4, 6, 3, 3, 6.
Sorry, Drostan, I didn't need to fuck you over.
Well, I think what that crit does is I'm going to let you put a tick onto the no, actually you get to pick how you do this. So if you can describe like how much cutting through the field do you want to describe? I'm happy to like go back and forth because you're going to get I think 3 major shots of Harvest cutting through the field.
So I think the first thing I want to do is I go up against the Doyle sisters. Is that who they were? And I think the thing is Harvest comes in fast and low, like I described, and really smashes through their defenses in one hit, really just taking them out in one shot, knocking them down, and then they're finished off by other people in the melee. And I think that immediately sort of puts Harvest as a very intimidating figure on the field.
Sure, yeah.
I also have the move Brutal, and I'm not like actively using it, but I think that's sort of what I'm playing into here, right? That there's a brutality to Harvest, their fighting style here, and they're just plowing through this field with this massive sword. And I think tag teaming with Colm as well to really be an extraordinarily effective fighting team here.
Yeah, and I think as you're making your way, you see that Colm does not look like he's moving fast, but he moves very efficiently. And so he doesn't draw a lot of attention to the way that he is optimizing how he moves through things. He's got a really great sense of battlefield awareness and is able to kind of attack and defend at the same time with really good longsword technique. And is, rather than fighting like directly side by side with you because of the size of your weapon, and that the two of you have only started getting to know how one another fight. So instead, you're seeing that he ends up pincering in with you and or creating or following through on opportunities that you create as the two of you barrel through the field. And like we pull back a bit, and
I'm seeing it as like a little bit of like gaming tank and DPS model, right? I'm attracting all the attention, which lets him move in and clean up areas that might be dangerous to me, and then I keep moving through.
And I think people start to, like, there's some people who figure out that if they don't bring a whole chunk of people in against you, they're going to lose, but none of them know how to fight with one another well enough to overwhelm you in Colm, and that he is able to 1v2, 1v3 several people to cut down on the scale disadvantage that you have as you then clean through more people. And for Ciaran and Rowan and everyone else who is watching in the stands, you see Harvest just kind of shearing through the field like a scythe a scythe in the autumn, their namesake brought to life. And people are going down, people are crying out, folks are getting pulled off of the field. There is some blood, but not a ton, because everybody knows what kingdom they live in. And there's probably somebody who gets pulled off of somebody else because they got carried away and were kind of fighting past when they needed to. And as we kind of come back to the field, we see the Man Mountain kind of armor the same, but in this situation, he has a great war hammer. And so the hammer head is like a foot wide and like 8 inches tall. And it's just a big brick of steel on like a 6 foot long pole. And he has just kind of swept a couple of people aside as you and Colm approach. And he kind of turns the hammer back and sets it on his shoulder, ready for y'all. But you got so much of a success that you're going to get 2 ticks on his 6 o'clock. So okay. How do you and Colm approach?
One other piece of flavor I want to put in here is that
Absolutely.
Harvest is doing all this and is not doing it. There's a brutality to it, but also Harvest themselves are very cheerful. Like I feel like as I'm coming up to people, I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And then crushing them, and then being like, good fight, and kind of moving on in this very chipper, we're all having a good time here while I break your arms and crush you under my heavy blade and things like that. So I think so. There was a specific thing that I came into the session wanting to do, and it's possible it doesn't really make sense anymore. But the thing that I wanted was actually to use Colm as a distraction when we got up to this point. Okay. And then my original idea was actually to, as we approach, to take Colm down and then use that to activate my brutal move and then go into trying to use that against the Man Mountain here. But coming into this with 2 ticks already, I'm not sure that necessarily makes sense anymore.
No, I think you could still do it if you wanted, but the way that I frame this based on what you've already earned from this first roll is that you are building up momentum in the fight. And I remember, like, at least in my martial arts experience, doing like big melees or other tournament stuff, like if you're on, you can just kind of go from success to success, and you feel like today you have it in a big way.
Great. I think I do want to use my brutal move here, though, and that is I want to, as we roll into this, to command the Man Mountain to stand down, basically. And if that can advance that clock, I'm in a non-physical way of basically intimidating him after having come carving through this area. So I think as we roll up, I think I just want to roll up and be like, hey, hill guy, might want to just give up now.
And I think this would be unlikely to have any effect if he hadn't just gotten unhorsed.
Okay. That makes sense.
And so I think you can make the command roll if you want, and you could certainly apply it to that clock. I would say that it's going to be desperate standard to do command to get him to back down. It would have been limited if not for the fact that he has already been taken down a peg.
Okay. So I'll do desperate standard. And then do you have another devil's bargain for me?
I think the devil's bargain here is that he gets a hit in and you would take the level 1 harm bruised. You may resist that, but if you take the devil's bargain, you have to take the harm or resist the harm. So basically, he at least gets a blow in as you're fighting and kind of as you're getting yourself the position to try to get him to yield.
Is there any way someone can assist me here? Maybe heckle him from the crowd? I don't know.
Yeah, that's up to y'all in how you see how your characters might have assisted or be assisting now.
I still have
you still have a tactician, right?
I still have a tactician left. So what I'm gonna say is we're gonna flash back to after Venner took down the Man Mountain. Ciaran was going to be going through the crowd and sort of fomenting rebellion against how much the Man Mountain obviously sucks. And, you know, basically trying to prime the crowd so when this moment comes, everyone is just gonna fucking boo him.
So do you have a catchy phrase that you're feeding them to chant?
Ooh. I mean, the problem is I'm so bad at this. All I can think is very, very cheesy. I mean, honestly, Hillman might be a good one.
Hillman?
Going back to what I mean, either that or all I could think is just like
Valley Man. Man Valley.
I mean, we could call him Molehill, but that's like that doesn't really it doesn't scan very well.
Yeah, I think that would have to be like Molehill. Molehill.
No, Triffid in chat says Knoll Man. Knoll Man.
I'm trying to think what would be a good I mean, it's hard to insult mountains. That's the problem.
I think
you're a geologist. How do you not have a mountain insult?
Because mountains are too cool, and I love them too much. They're in my heart. I mean,
Hillman is fine. We can come back if you want to. If you find something even better. I don't want to dwell too much.
For the record, I called him Hill Guy.
Hill Guy.
Hill Guy.
I am too classy to call him Hill Guy. Thank you.
All right, fine.
I mean, honestly, I think just the hill thing is the way to go, because that's honestly the most insulting thing you can say to a mountain is you're not actually a mountain at all. You're too short and tiny.
Yep. So yeah, you could use a tactician and get grant an assist here for a die or effect.
Okay. So, all right. That gives me 3d6 desperate standard, yeah?
Yeah. If you're doing courageous, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also doing courageous, which is probably a bad idea, but whatever.
I mean, as long as the dice love you, then everything is fine.
Yeah, exactly. We live in expectation of success.
Venner definitely did not experience the downside last time.
No, not at all. I mean, it was all smooth sailing.
Now, you know, we are going to call him Molehill. Fuck him.
So it's battling Molehill.
Your dirt that a mole has pooped in.
Okay, rolling 3d6. That's a 4.
Okay, so 4, 1, 2. So you are going to put 2 more ticks on the... no, that's not what I wanted to do. We're going to choose a side. So this is going to go up to 4 ticks out of 6. As basically you're able to kind of dance around him and like belittle him while Colm is taking some shots and grabbing some attention. But a roll of a 4 on a desperate does create a consequence. And rather than just going straight out to like level 3 harm on Harvest, I think it's going to be level 2 harm on Harvest and level 1 harm on Colm.
Okay.
As he just kind of swings in big circles and knocks the sword from Colm's hand and catches Harvest on the shoulder and would give you the level 2 harm dislocated shoulder.
Can I burn armor and heavy armor to resist that?
Yes.
Okay.
So what does it look like when you take that blow on the armor?
I think Harvest is wearing their standard thing of like lots of like kind of ragged clothing, both of leather and cloth and in lots of layers. And so it's not immediately obvious that they're wearing armor, but when that blow lands, I think the Man Mountain thinks they're going to get an easy shot in on an unarmored opponent, but it hits a solid plate of steel that is now dented. So I unbuckle it and it slips out from under the layers and lands on the ground. It's like a very large dented plate of steel. So I burned all of my armor slots.
Yeah. And I think when the armor hits the ground and Harvest moves out of the way, there's a big like, of like, oh, like that didn't take them out. They're still fighting. And I think at this point, the Man Mountain starts using his hammer to sweep some of the remaining people in the melee and kind of try to sweep people at you while he circles. And on his way to you, he is going to just hammer all the way through Colm, unless you do anything about it.
Can I push Colm a little bit more into the blow? No, I'm not actually going to do that.
Wow.
Hey, I would have to fight him later if this didn't go well. So
and the real Dark Souls begin.
I am happy to let Colm take the hit.
Shove him into the blender.
I don't even need a human shield. I just want to see what it would look like. It's like, wow.
I didn't even need to summon for this boss.
Harvest backstab suckle, am I right?
Oh God.
I mean, Harvest again is very cheerful about this, and it's like, every man for himself out here. It's
So yeah, I think Colm is able to kind of roll with the blow a bit, but the Man Mountain is terrifyingly strong, and so I think there's some roll and some prep, and then he just gets knocked through the wooden post at the edge of the list, and is out of the fight. As the Man Mountain kind of spins the hammer back around and is going to basically try to nail into wood with a big overhead blow against you.
Okay. So do I have an opportunity to act here? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm just declaring the threat in the fiction.
And so he is currently at 4 out of 6, yes?
Correct.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to... Hold on, let me look one thing.
Do you have an idea of what you think people would be calling to cheer you on because you're incognito? Is there like some design or some pattern on your clothes that people might have latched onto?
Beekeeper, bee.
Or like,
yeah, I think I may have like painted like a bee icon on my coat because I have this beekeeper hat on. I think I'm just going to lean into that and make it sort of like a whole costume. So I think people are actually yelling beekeeper. I mean, if
the crowd is buzzing for you.
Oh jeez. This whole thing is turning into some bizarro like bzz, bzz, bzz.
This really does sound
it's really WWE. It's so WWE.
I think I've turned into a Demon Souls villain, actually. I think that's what it is.
You pull out the silver sword as your second phase.
Exactly.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening exactly.
Amazing. I just saw that. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna. I don't think there's anything clever here. I think this is just a straight up, weapon to weapon, samurai strike here, right? It's like a one blow situation, right? I think if I get hit with that hammer, it's gonna go real bad. If I hit him with my sword, it's gonna go real bad for him. So I think we're just gonna go straight skirmish.
Cool.
What's my positioning here?
So I think if you're just fighting as yourself, it's going to be desperate. Because even with a loss under his belt, he is like a tier 2 opponent.
Okay. Well, I have the fine dueling weapon, so doesn't that put me at tier 2?
That would put you at equal for effect. So I think that is risky standard. I would give you desperate great if you wanted to trade position for effect and get that the extra dice with your move.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take desperate great. You have a devil's bargain for me?
I think this devil's bargain would be you don't do it clean, and you would take let's see. Yeah, I think you'd take level 2 harm concussed. As you kind of only, even if you succeed, you don't fully dodge the overhead blow.
I'm going to go ahead and just push myself because I think that'll be cheaper stress-wise than a level 2 harm, trying to resist a level 2 harm. Okay, so I'm going to push myself, so it's 2 more stress. I'm getting pretty stressed out here. So 2d6 base, +1 from courageous, +1 from pushing myself. So that's 46 risky great, or desperate great?
Yeah.
Great. Always rolling desperate rolls is really quite a wait. Do I get?
It's true. You should have 1 XP and 1 more XP in prowess and 1 in resolve, and then I think after you make this roll, you will have a full prowess XP bar.
Yeah.
Because if you live in desperate, you can farm XP as long as you survive.
I didn't min-max this character, but I did think a bit about how to spec it out. So okay. I get +1. Wait, so I have 3 bonus dice or 2 bonus dice? 2, right?
You have 1 from courageous. You have 1 from your push. And if there's not another bonus die if you did not take the devil's bargain. So I think it's 2 bonus dice.
Yeah.
Is there any way that I could possibly help out with?
How would you assist?
I mean, I would assist in the moment, like, and I'm willing to take obviously stress or whatever, but I'm going to be basically trying to hype the crowd.
Okay. Yeah. I think, like home field advantage is going to matter here because everybody's blood is up.
Okay. Okay. So I'll take, so that'll be 3d6.
So
3 bonus dice. Yeah.
Actually, I want to pause for a character question real quick. DongWon, what matters more to Harvest, having the crowd on their side or hearing Ciaran?
Hearing Ciaran.
Okay. Just
doesn't care at all about the crowd.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to spotlight that because I think if this were a show, what this would look like is the roar of the crowd fades and Harvest hears Ciaran cheering for them.
Yeah, and even more than that, Ciaran, did you give me a symbol of your favor before going into the fight?
I think I very well could have. Honestly, probably what I would have done. Honestly, I probably would have given you my holy relic since we had our extremely weird conversation where you invaded my room at night.
It's a very normal spiritual consultation.
Yes, extremely normal.
What is the holy relic?
God. And I have to think of something.
Is it something with like inlaid or wire wrapped with silver?
I mean, it would definitely have silver. I mean, well, and considering that Ciaran's entire thing is small gods, it would be very humble. So, I mean, it might even just be like a special rock wrapped with silver wire. Like, it is not anything fancy.
Where does that rock come from?
I would say it comes from like where Ciaran first had this revelation about, you know, we've been worshiping the wrong gods this whole time and we need to was probably near their home. They probably like went out for a walk in the woods or the fields or whatever, and they found a rock to sit on and just looked over the world and were like, I've been doing this wrong the entire time. And that's what it's from. So it is like a piece of home as well. And it is the thing that still connects me back to, you know, where I used to rule from. Mm-hmm. So it's very important in that sense.
Cool, that sounds great. So DongWon, you can definitely mark symbol of claimant's favor, right?
Yes. And can you describe to me the field that we're on a little bit, just sort of physically? Is it sort of like is it a practice field? Is it a farming field? Was there a battle fought here? Like,
I think this is the practice field for Sigane's military. So last episode, I described the ground as mostly but not entirely firm, and that it was a fairly brisk but bright day. Mm-hmm. And so I think the ground is probably a bit chopped up now between, the joust and the field, but it is level.
I think as the Man Mountain is coming in, I think I drop to one knee and pull out the rock, which I'm sort of envisioning on a cord around my neck, and I kiss it and I whisper, you know, may the gods of this field grant me favor. And then as he comes down with the hammer, I'm going to sweep up with the sword from the ground. And so this is Desperate Great, 5d6.
Very cool.
Ooh, mixed. That is 33441.
Okay. Because I really liked that moment, I'm going to give you a free resist level on this consequence that's coming. But first, because you got a 4, you do it. So you fill the clock. Mm-hmm. And so, sorry, you were doing like an upward blow, kind of. Like, are you shooting for between the legs or like across the chest? Like, what's the blow that brings him down?
I think I want to pull off something actually very accurate here, which as an executioner, I'm used to making very precise, very big blows. And I want to catch him with the blunt under the chin and knock him out. Just like I'm uppercutting him on the chin with the tip of my very large sword moving at high speed. It's not pretty, but it will take him out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty from a distance. I think the physical effects on his body are very bad.
It's breathtaking from the audience.
I think you can do that, but so you take him out. That clock is full, and you will be victorious. However, you're going to take level 3 harm crushed because the pole goes behind you and keeps you from being able to back away, and the Man Mountain falls on you.
Okay.
So that would be level 3 harm crushed that you may resist. I will give you 1 free resist for the symbol of claimant's favor.
Okay.
So it would be level 2 harm cracked ribs.
Okay. So, and then how do I resist to harm at this point? How does resist work, I guess is what I'm asking. It's been a while.
Yeah, so you've used your armor, so all of those have been applied. You could roll prowess, and that would test the. If you declare that you resist, you would only take level 1 harm because you had 3 from a desperate consequence. I gave you 1 resist for free from the symbol of claimant's favor because I liked all of that that you and Alex described. And then a resist would take it down to level 1 harm, which I think would be bruised, where you'd get out of the way mostly, but not entirely. When you say you resist, you resist. The question is, how much stress does it cost?
Right. And so when I get to 9 stress, I'm scarred, right?
Correct.
Okay. So for the audience at home, I'm currently at a 6 of 9 stress. So I have 3 in prowess. So if I choose to resist, that's going to be 3d6, and I would need to get higher than a 3 to not scar.
However, you also take -1d to any resistance rolls against consequences from your desperate actions.
Right. So I have 2d6. You know what? I'm going to take the harm instead of risking the scar. I don't think I want a scar from this.
Okay.
I think being wounded from this melee makes a lot more sense to me than.
Yeah.
Okay.
So without a resist, I think what happens is the pull of the hammer gets behind you, and you're not able to kind of get out of the way as solidly. But you could swear that the ground moves underneath you to let you fall slightly to the side so that he doesn't land all the way on you, but he does land on your right side, and you feel some things break. I'm going to leave the description there to not be as intense content-wise. You know the description to give on that level 2 harm, but what happens is...
What was the description again? Sorry.
So level
Bruised
2
ribs.
harm would be cracked ribs. But
Okay,
you
so I have
get-
-1d effect, or -1d going forward, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You get up, and the man mountain doesn't.
Okay.
And I think... Sorry, go ahead.
I think before I get up, I have a moment where I just like pat a small hillock that is under my hand and just say thank you under my breath, and then shove the man mountain off and get up. And I think wave or like plant my sword in the ground and then pick up his hammer in my one good hand, my left hand, and hold it up.
And I think there's like 4 people in 2-on-2s, and one of the 4 looks to you, the other one knocks them out with the opportunity. The other pair just shake their heads and walk off the list. The last one looks to you, realizing why they had taken the other one out.
I'm just gonna wave when they look over at me.
Looks to the man mountain and like salutes you and takes a knee. And the crowd
goes
roars.
I think I go over and I grab them by the forearm and pull them up. And you know, is there some kind of trophy I can take off the unconscious man mountain? Is there like a thing, like some kind of symbol or a sash or something?
Yeah. So
Does
there.
he have a braid you could cut off?
Not necessarily something of like high
There
value,
you
but
go.
something that would signify his defeat that I could take.
Yeah, I think there are.
Dave and Buster's power card. I mean,
What you
Exactly.
can recognize as basically like favors of championship from other contests like this were on his belt. Or you could take a kind of clay mountain that was so he has broad pauldrons on his shoulders, and each of them has like a 3-inch double mountain shape that is like his augmentation.
Great. I'm gonna snap one of those off.
oh man.
And I'm gonna walk over to Colm and hand it to him and say, "Good fight."
He's like, I think he's conscious again at this point, but looks pretty beat.
Yeah.
but would take the figurine, kind of look over, and say, "You'll have to tell me that story when my head isn't swimming."
Well, I owe you a beer or a few.
He would kind of ask for a hand up.
Yeah, I'll pull him up and sort of support him over to the medic's tent.
And I think there's a fair amount of like aftermath that has to be done here, because there's a lot of like checking on people and make sure there isn't like internal bleeding and everything. So this is like a bit of intermission. I do want to say something for Greg. Rebel Crown has a rule where you can make a roll to split one tick left in a clock into several ticks if you wanted to do something for your horse, because your horse is at 3 out of 4 in terms of being exhausted. So I wanted to throw that to you before I cut away to the fight in the woods. So something to think about. You don't have to do it now if you don't want.
Okay.
Can I take my point in a prowess skill now, or do we have to wait to the end of the session?
I think it's cool when you get to choose a move in process.
Okay.
So if you want to tick a dot somewhere.
I think narratively, it makes sense that I got even better at skirmish.
Yeah. It turns out they were even better than we thought.
Yes.
How good were they?
So we cut back to the fight in the woods.
Meanwhile.
And I think after the kind of slow-mo of Isbale taking the bolt for Drosten, it becomes chaos. And we follow, I think first we follow Drosten, who takes a shot at Katrina. Katrina opens the door to take the bolt, rolls out, and has somehow reloaded during the roll and takes another shot at Drosten. Drosten kind of wheels his horse to get out of the way and reaches up and throws a pair of daggers at Katrina. And then we pull back and we see the bandits fighting the Sluach. And the Sluach are more like shadowy assassin types. And Drosten's raiders are more like Robin Hood archery types.
And as a result, it just looks like well-dressed, very focused archers just shooting blindly into the night. And I'm very afraid.
So yeah, there's archery, there's crossbow bolts, there's the flash of steel on steel, there are daggers flying and spinning and slicing, and we're gonna do some fortune rolls.
Where's Keely?
Keely is not here.
Okay. All right.
What's Keely up to?
Keely was secretly the Man Mountain. I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you damn kids.
Oh no!
What this is going to look like is each side is going to roll 2 dice, but because of that Devil's Bargain, the Sluach are going to roll 3 dice instead of 2. Each group,
my bad.
Each group has a 6 clock, and so the Sluach's result is going to go into the Drosten's Raiders clock. And when a group's clock is filled, they are routed from this fight. If Drosten's Raiders gets routed before the Sluach are routed, it will be bad for y'all. So that's the stakes.
Cool. Fortune rolls, you say. I am not physically... Rowan Byrne is not physically present and therefore can't do anything. So I have no access to skills. Fortune is all we have to go on.
But this is a game with flashbacks.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean,
do I get to wait? So do I flash back as Rowan, or do I get to flash back as other members of Drosten's Raiders?
So you can flash back to act as Rowan.
Okay.
I don't know that I don't feel so generous as to grant this kind of scout the kind of PC power to an allied faction. But if you have an idea of how you, Rowan, would have done something earlier that impacts this, I'm happy to hear it, because flashbacks are cool.
Would you have had a discussion of Rowan with would Rowan have had a discussion with Drosten after we saw, we went and saw the kind of layout of the field, remember, and we like where everyone was laid out, and I saw the Man Mountain in the first place. Would we have had time to discuss things with Drosten, like basically go back and kind of report on the reconnaissance that we did, or would we just have seen it and then just been aware of that and stayed at the tournament venue? And I guess that's a question.
I assumed that we had shared that information with everybody present. I thought that Drosten and like all of Drosten's like second in command would have known.
Right, I didn't know if they were
everything that we
there.
got.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but that means so anyway, that
Yeah, I'd have to hear more about how that specifically puts them in a better position for this.
Yeah,
sortie.
yeah.
Yeah, it probably doesn't.
But I do want. Right, so I know I need to flashback with either Keely, my good friend who isn't present, or Drosten, who I've never actually spoken to since we've gotten this job done. But I do think that, like, even before this had happened, I would have, like, had very immediate concern for the Raiders' safety as an extension of my concern for Keely's safety, and I would have had a conversation about how that could be potentially bolstered, precisely because we had just kidnapped what's their name again?
Aiden,
yeah, and would want to increase the security as a result, because they would be public enemy number 0.5.
Sure. So I think so this is me kind of drifting and interpreting rules. So I want to flag that this is not like, I don't believe
Blazing the
rules
Dark is a
written.
very fluid system.
Yeah,
Sometimes
so
it gives us the ability to just
I think
decide what we want to use for things.
to do an assist on this scale for a like basically a squad's role, I would say that that's going to be a 1 stress flashback and 1 stress to give an assist die. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take that 2 stress.
So that means that each group will roll 3 dice.
Ow.
I am happy to do both rolls, unless someone would like to make a roll for Drosten's Raiders.
I want to roll for Drosten's Raiders
Okay.
every single time.
Okay.
All right.
Because this is evil.
And I mean,
So-
I was gonna say, Brandon, do let me know if there's anything that I could be doing to help them, because I have a vested interest in keeping my first and only ally alive.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was wondering about like the connection with with Venner and Drosten, and I don't. But the thing is, this feels more like I don't know that Venner would be able to help with something specific to the Sluach. Like I feel like that's probably where Rowan would be helping. Watch your back out there. Stiff upper lip.
Those are 2 different levels of strategy, I imagine. So I'm rolling 3 fortune dice, yes?
And what I would say is, and hold on the roll, even a crit will not fill this roll within the first time. So this will give a lot of relative position, but this one roll will not finish either clock. So that just make sure that we all know where we are. I have mine ready. If you can do under notes for your fortune roll that says Drosten or Drosten's Raiders, so that it will be easier for us to remember and for folks to see which is which. So I'm rolling for what the Sluach are doing, how well they fight, and Brandon is rolling as the champion for Drosten's Raiders to see how well they fight. And let us click enter in. Are you ready?
Right. Yes.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1, montage. So I have so that's a 5-3-5 for the Sluach, which would be 2 ticks, and a 2-1-2 for Drosten's Raiders.
Well, easy come, easy go.
So the Sluach.
It's Sluach. What did I expect? It's a Sluach. What did I expect? This is going to go very terribly. We might actually lose Drosten.
So Drosten's Raiders.
In my defense, my doubles bargain didn't make any difference here, so this was going to go bad anyways.
It was a big help. It was a big help.
So the Sluach put 2 ticks on Drosten's Raiders. Drosten's Raiders put 2 ticks on the Sluach. And what I think that looks like is that most of Drosten's Raiders were ready to fight and or hold hostage from distance. And the Sluach are on them very quickly. And so Drostan's raiders, we see people throwing away their bows or trying to fend off Slock with their bows as they're fumbling for axes or short swords. And the ambush, the kind of counter ambush part is working more broadly than just in trying to go after Drostan. So I think that's the beat we see now. And then we will cut back to the tournament.
What?
It will be less time between that roll and the next roll. Because otherwise
this is in this like television episode of Rebel Crown Splendor and Shadow. We just had like 8, 9, 10 a 10-minute scene of Harvest doing Harvest things, and cut to 48 seconds of nighttime banditry combat, and now we're doing ads. And we're coming straight back to the tournament. This is a lot.
This is like Alex live tweeting on the Patreon, right? Just being like, this is some bullshit. Like, they don't understand like how to give these people their due. Instead, we just get all this tournament stuff. Like, what is that all about?
But I could see the version of this episode where we spend way more time on Drostan's raiders. And none of y'all are PCs in that scene, so I don't want to strike.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to relax now.
So I think we will get back, and I want to highlight a moment in the archery tournament that I believe I glossed over earlier, and I came up with a new idea. And so I think, Rowan, you would have noticed this most specifically. The archers of Avens that you had flagged absolutely rock the archery side, to the point where the 4 of them, they're not next to each other, but you see that they all thunk, 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 thunk. They put their 5 arrows down range in perfect synchronicity, even though they are not next to one another. And they crowd out and cow the other archers in that competition. And it becomes a one-off. It becomes like a runoff between 2 of the archers of Avens before one of them is the victor. So I want to give you just a little bit of extra.
I want to interrupt that 1v1 very, very badly.
Okay. I will not charge you for a flashback because I'm the one flashing back. So I'm spending a GM stress. But now you can act in that scene.
GM stress.
Oh
it's
my
the stress
god.
The stress that accumulates as I worry about doing a good job, and then I spend it having fun.
No, that's good to know, yeah.
I literally only have 1 point of stress left, and I need to push myself to do a thing.
I would discount your I would give you a devil's bargain instead of that push, but it's not another die for the Slock.
What is it?
Instead, it is going to be one of the other archers starting to peg that you're someone worth keeping an eye on because of how you are following and interpreting the archery contest. So it's not.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So that's going to be a 4 o'clock that I'll put a tick on immediately. That is the ire of Avens.
Cool. So I just happen to have a blade or 2 on my person. So I'm gonna do sharpshooter and hit one of the archer's bullseyes from the stance with one of my daggers.
Okay. That is gutsy.
Wow.
Are you trying to be sneaky?
I want it to be obvious that it came from the stance.
Okay.
But I want to be nowhere like immediately visible when they turn back to find it.
Cool. So I think I think y'all have done well enough and the crowd is big enough that this would be a controlled roll. So if you're using sharpshooter, then I'm just going to double check the reading.
I mean,
so I think
this says
yeah,
I just do the thing. So
right. So I think a thrown dagger would normally not be able to be that accurate at that distance. So sharpshooter will let you throw a dagger at the distance where you shouldn't be able to. So you will still roll, but you are not losing position or effect for the fact that you're throwing a dagger like 80 feet.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
This also lets you make a roll.
Right. So I guess that roll would be.
I think Hunt would have the greatest effect here.
Yeah, it would have to be Hunt. Yeah.
Because it's specifically attack with precision shooting from a distance.
So does that mean that I'm rolling fortune or I'm still?
So it will be a controlled,
right.
A controlled standard Hunt roll because your blade or two is not fine quality.
Okay. No bonus dice. I 1 and a 3.
1 and a 3. So I think you do it, but I'm going to tick the ire of Avon's archers, and somebody saw enough of where that came from that they, having already been eliminated from the archery tournament, are going to start coming to look for you. So I'm going to
Was
tick
not
up.
ideal. Okay, cool. I start briskly shuffling through the crowd as awkwardly as possible.
Yeah, so DongWon, I see your question. I will get to it at break if that's okay. So yeah, you your arrow kind of splits a previous bullseyed arrow and fouls the shot of the competitors, and so they basically have to start the kind of sudden death again.
Okay.
The kind of the mistress of archery kind of calls it a foul and clears the boards and makes them all shoot again.
Okay. I want to say that I did that for the one that even though both of them were like doing very impeccably, I did that specifically to the one who I had clocked would have come second. Anyways, I just essentially just gave them a free turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, did you want to do anything else before kind of they finish that?
I
While
want to save
you see...
Drostan's raiders, but I can't do that. So instead, I mean, my mission is still generally to just like vaguely gain information about the space that I'm in before we actually gain an audience at House Gearr. So if there's any way that any information that can still be valuable, I'm still trying to move towards gaining that information, if that makes sense.
You could absolutely do some work kind of moving through this space to try to gather information.
Okay.
And I think after this next action, we will go to break.
Okay, and I think that would be survey, so I'll do survey.
Sure. I would say that...
in fact, no, I'll do sway. I'm actively going to talk to some people in part because I want that conversation to also act as cover.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you have the cloak. So because of the cloak, I'm going to say that this is controlled because people are not going to remember you specifically enough to be able to put things together easily. So you're able to do this with less risk. So that would be controlled standard on sway to get information.
Okay.
That is a 6, so no consequence. I think for right away you learn that the feast will be set on the field, basically the high. So people will get to eat, like the combatants will be fed. There will be food that others can buy or get access to elsewise, and then someone says like, oh yeah, and then they just move these parts of the tent cover, and the high table is up where the nobles are right now, and that they're going to do that changeover when the winner of the joust is celebrated, and
Okay.
so you basically hear from some servants coming and going, people who are related to or connected to those servants. But I would give you a free follow-up if you have another specific question, since you rolled a 6.
Do I have a question? I feel like one of the things that I would want to get is other than House Gearr and the victors and other combatants of particular renown, are there any guests that are supposed to be here?
Interesting. Let me double check the allies list for House Gearr. Yes, I think so Katir, who is the leader of the merchants of Belheather, and somewhat like a kind of a mayor or local head of business, is here. She is seated off to the side, like a level below the nobles, but kind of on the fancy people side. And with that known, like someone will point her out to you. She is a light brown skinned woman with kind of intricately braided hair with it must be like a 7 or 8 plait braid, very intricate and complicated, over very rich layered brocades. So she is kind of the head of the non-noble leadership in Belheather. She is the person that Colm reports to, the head of security that Harvest fought alongside. And then I think there is a prominent Elanian refugee. Elanius is an archipelago nation. That is the nation that fell due to wraith infestation. And they are to the west. And so that is going to be, I'm just gonna, Innes, I have not figured out what the Elanian naming should be. So that's gonna be Innes O'Rourke.
Okay.
Who is so this is Lady Innes O'Rourke, who was kind of equivalent status in Elanius to like a House Gearr before Gearr married into Lolaire. So pretty big deal, but not at the very top. Mm-hmm. But now Elanius is an abandoned kingdom. So her status in nobility is contingent and in exile. Mm-hmm. So those are a couple of notables that you see kind of in attendance.
Okay, this is valuable information. I have no way of circulating this to the one person who I think would actually benefit from that information because they're tending to an injured horse elsewhere.
Cool. So that is that. And why don't I turn the knife and let's do another round of rolling.
Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God.
So no extra scary stuff accumulated. So this is just going to be a two dice versus 2 dice fortune roll. I'm going to roll 2 dice for the Sluach, and Brandon, you can roll 2 dice for Drostan's Raiders.
Here we go, Drostan. Here we go.
Sports, go sports.
Right. I am ready.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, go. So that's a 6 for the Sluach and a 5 for Drostan's Raiders. So that means that Drostan's Raiders have 1 tick left until they are routed. and the Sluach have 3 ticks out of 6. And now we're going to take a quick break.
Super great.
So please stay with us, refill your beverage, take a bio break, commiserate with Brandon about how unfair I am. And we will be back in just a few minutes with more excitement.
See you in a bit, everyone. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Just before we get started, I did want to acknowledge, first of all, thank you, Shadow Mage, for doing the Rebel Crew command, so you can find out more about us, because I thought we made a command and I can't find it, so we made a new one. So if you were interested in knowing more about these amazing people, !Rebel Crew, and again, !Speculate to find out more about the podcast. Also want to acknowledge Rock God, because I got the top donator prize, which is the photograph, and I'll be unveiling it tomorrow so everyone can see what the top donator is going to receive. It is another epic work from Rock God. It is as good as advertised, and good stuff, man. So again, thank you so much, Rock God, for doing that. Good stuff. And with that said, I'm going to shift over to reveal the crew has returned. And we're all ready to go, and Rowan is, I think, fervently waiting the next fortune roll where Drostan's Raiders get smoked. It's going to be great that we're going to come out of this feeling all smug about just like, well, we took down the tournament, and we just find bodies, just Drostan's bodies just like scattered all over the place. We're like, well, that was, it was cool when we had an ally. Anyway, back over to Mike to tell us what miserable thing is happening to us now.
So we're not coming back in on misery. We're going to come back in, I think, on Cranial kind of wiping down Venner's horse.
Yep.
And the horse is looking pretty beat.
Yeah.
And so Cranial is like, he's being like very affectionate and like picking out like slivers of shattered lance. Yeah. And like basically trying to help you get this horse through the rest of the joust.
Can you explain to me again? You said I heard what you said, but for some reason my brain didn't process it. I can split a clock to do what? No.
The way that this game talks about it is, if I were writing clocks on a paper. Mm-hmm. So let me find a piece of paper that I can use that doesn't dox myself. Because I would like to not dox myself.
Here's my tax return, and as you can see...
No, I finished my taxes earlier this week, which is good. So...
I think the only personal information anyone wants to see from you is whether you're vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I got my second vaccination on Wednesday and did not have too bad of a time. Y'all can see... Oh, the camera is going to be sad.
Camera's like, no, you can't see.
Find my face again. Here we go. So here's a 4 clock with 1 tick remaining.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What the game says is that you can make a roll to split that remaining tick into 2 ticks.
Oh,
and
so add
so
another tick, essentially.
It basically becomes a 5 clock. Now, I don't have a 5 clock in my Roll20 macros, so effectively I would just untick that clock by 1.
Okay. And the roll I need to roll for that would be something relating to, for example, ride, maybe, or?
I would absolutely give ride standard effect. I think you could probably also do it with sway.
Sway.
Command might have.
Be better, horse.
I think ride and sway are what you get full effect with.
I mean, I have one in ride, and I think it probably makes sense to do that. I don't have any in sway. Plus, although I have so XP isn't resolved, but yeah.
I won't fill that clock if you fail. I will apply the consequence elsewhere.
Yeah, great.
So probably. Just to let you know, this would be
the blade will strike right into Drostan's throat.
A controlled roll. No, it won't be about that.
Okay.
That fortune roll would be something
else
a controlled roll. That applies to you. Yep.
So
be a controlled standard if you did ride to try to kind of take care of the horse. And do you have an idea for what this horse's name is and how long you've had this horse?
Yes. So I've had the horse for...
You should name the horse Buttercup.
How about Rosebud? So this horse I've actually had since it was a foal. because I also rode on its father to battle. And I would say that let me take a look quick at my sheet. Gotta gather my information that yeah, what I'm hesitating about is I have a name that was representative, but it's too obvious, and so I don't want to use it, and I'm trying to think of a better name.
So the sigil of House Lolaire, even before Madoc's usurpation, that like historical sigil of Lolaire more broadly is an eagle. So I think a fair bit of the house iconography riffs on that. That gives you a little bit of flavor, depending on whether that's useful for you. You know, is it something like concrete and specific like Talon, or is it, do the horses that you kind of take to war, are those described in terms of qualities?
Right. I mean, the name I was going to use was Valiant, but I just thought that was too obvious, and so I was like,
was that this horse's sire?
Yes.
And so, what does Venner, as an older, more seasoned soldier, name the kind of the next generation of warhorse? Wisdom. Cool.
Wisdom.
Yeah. Just wanted to
zoom
in on that moment because it seemed like a way to.
Yes, that's a good question.
To see Venner kind of in a slightly different light.
Yep, Wisdom. So his sire was Valiant, Wisdom. Yeah. So the horse is Wisdom, which I'm going to immediately note. Okay. So so I was just looking through my items also to see, but I'm not. I was gonna say, is there like gosh, my stress is so. Because all right, so right now I have 7 stress, and I feel like using it up just to make sure that the horse is gonna burn me
I would
later.
not advise you to spend the stress here.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna do okay. So then I think, unless someone randomly has an assist on a horse, which I doubt, I am going to. Although, what did we decide, Mike, about the whole chat helping inspiration thing? How did we decide that works?
If someone in chat has inspiration, I would be very happy for that to give +1d and +1 effect. +1 effect here would mean that I would remove 2 ticks from this clock instead of 1.
Chat, does anyone want to help Wisdom? To feed Wisdom? To build Wisdom? I'm going to continue to push this as far as I possibly can. Does anyone have any inspirations to do that? I know some of you do. Although a lot of people have been holding it onto it for ARFCon because they're like, nope, because there's like two campaign finales during that, and they're all like, this is going to go bad. But if anyone wishes to throw down an inspiration to assist a horse, otherwise, oh, damn it, I shouldn't have said anything. Shadow Mage is like, oh, right. Oh, man. All right. Okay, I'm just going to do my roll. I deserve what I get. Okay, so my position you said is controlled, right?
Yep, this is controlled standard.
Okay. And we're going to say standard. Controlled. Standard. All right. I was thinking even but flat. Nah, I'm going to do this. All right. Controlled, standard, and I've just got the 1 die then that I'm doing, right?
Okay. So, let's see how well Wisdom responds.
That would be not at all. That's
so I 1. Think
I actually accidentally punch it through the rib. And
so I think
destroy what's left of the horse
here.
I think
you look into Wisdom's eyes, and you've been kind of helping him and kind of getting him water, and you look him in the eye, and he kind of nuzzles you. And you feel like that loyalty and affection, but when Cranel kind of puts the barding back on, you can see that he's kind of on the edge of being able to still go back on the list.
Yeah.
And I think that consequence would be level 1 harm for you, disheartened.
Okay. Which I could resist at the cost of how much stress?
So you can, if you resist, but you have to say how you're resisting it, and then you roll an attribute based on whether you're resisting that with prowess, insight, or resolve. Venner has 1 in resolve and 1 in insight and 2 in prowess because he's fairly specialized. So resisting would be hard. I could entertain an item giving you a resist if it made sense narratively.
Yeah.
If you think that you have something that would let you do this.
No, I'll take it. I considered the possibility of something relating to resolve. I was going to pitch something also about commanding a cohort in combat because they continue to fight when they would otherwise break, but it's too much of a stretch. So that's fine. So no, I'll take disheartened.
Right.
So, and I don't think I've actually put a harm in here before. So I just put that. I type it under the 1 box.
Yep, because the level 1 and level 2 each have 2 spaces for harm.
Okay.
So you would just just type the word disheartened into one of the 1 boxes.
Okay.
And so that means you would have less effect on any roll where kind of morale has a material impact on what you're trying to do.
Okay. Do you need me to remember that?
No, I will just try to keep it in mind.
Okay.
I think because it's a controlled consequence for me, I was more interested in zooming in on the emotion of that scene.
Yeah.
And like we had some more cinematic bits, but then our tonal range also includes some of this kind of personal cost, small retinue, everybody's being pushed to the brink, kind of a thing. And so it's the next round of the joust, and Venner is put up against it's actually someone with a banner that you've never seen before, because it's pretty clear to you that this is a noble riding under a falsified banner to protect their identity. You've seen kind of second or third children or other people trying to prove something for themselves, entering under like a nom de guerre and a fake banner. This is the banner of a thunder split tree. So like a trunk of a tree with a jagged line of a thunderstrike through the middle.
Falsified banner, though, means that it's probably made up, not that the noble is pretending to be part of an actually existing house, right? It's
because you know nobility enough that if there is a house with this banner, they are not from this kingdom. And you think it's more likely that someone has chosen this to say something, but that they are from this kingdom.
Did I see this noble's first joust?
Yes. So I think I'm just reviewing my notes. This jouster actually you find to be a bit of a mirror to yourself. They don't joust ostentatiously. They seem to be fairly fearless. They're not flashy. They don't really play to the crowd, but they are honorable.
How old would I guess? Like
You
also
would
mirror
guess-
for my age or?
Yeah, like middle years.
Okay.
I think you could flag them in that first round, and then after the second round, you see them. The way they move reminds you of how tired you are in pushing yourself.
Okay.
So, because you know the nobility, if you wanted to make a gather information or some kind of roll to try to suss who they are, I would take that as a fortune roll.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do that. I'm wondering, I was going to ask if I could use Cranel to gather information again from the squire of the other noble, but I'm not going to do that because Cranel's working on the horse, and frankly, I just want Cranel working on the horse. So, yeah, I'll try to gather a little bit of information if I can by just... I might ask a couple of the people around the tournament, what do you know of him? Type of thing. So, okay.
So yeah, I think survey would be fine. I think study would probably have greater effect here, but this is not especially high stakes.
Right.
So I think survey is just fine. I would give you I wouldn't give you a specific name with limited effect. But no, I think with Cranel, sure, I want to give this information out because I did this world building. So I'd give you standard effect if you want to just do a 2-die fortune roll for survey.
Okay. So wait, do I click on survey or fortune? Or do I?
So if you click on fortune and then do 2 dice,
right,
because that's your survey rating, and then under notes, you can just type, mystery night.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What do I know?
5 and 2.
5 and 2. Well, maybe I know something.
Yeah, I think you believe that you have that you've come across whoever this is before.
Did I see him when I went to? Oh, he's from a different. Did I? Is it? Never mind. I was about to ask. Did I see him when I went north? In that semi-disastrous attempt to see what was happening at Talon Perch from a couple of sessions ago?
No, I think you didn't know him from that, but
okay.
Thinking about the Sedgelands and thinking about Whitebeam and the fact that House Gearr is a present danger, you think back to your youth when there was an internal skirmish in Whitebeam and Houses Fiorag and Gearr fought over the seat of Whitebeam, and Fiorag was crushed. And there were rumors that the young Lord Rob had survived, but no one has seen him since. He is probably close to an age, a peer of yours. So you would not have yet been a general when House Fiorag was driven from Whitebeam and basically shattered. So those two families had dueling claims over Whitebeam for some time. And since that fight, Gearr's claim has been unchallenged because Fiorag, for all intents and purposes, was declared a dead house. And the sigil
Fiorag, sorry to interrupt. Had House Fiorag been allies to Ciaran and our house previous to this, or do we just?
They were a kind of they were a house of kind of good reputation and solid loyalty.
Okay.
They just did not have so many friends.
Right.
That where people wanted to put their neck out compared to Gearr. Right. And so they just they lost the game. It wasn't at the kingdom level, it was at this province level.
Okay.
But according to the laws of Crobhan, his claim to Whitebeam is equal to Lady Gearr's.
So what I'm hearing is another potential enemy of Gearr.
Yep. So
which means I have to somehow defeat this guy without actually making him look dumb.
What
Great.
What result? So earlier we'd established that winning the joust would be good for y'all,
right.
And Harvest won the melee, and so I'm going to reflect that in giving you a bonus on the social stuff that comes later. What I would ask Greg is, given that information, how do you want to have Venner approach the rest of the joust? I only want to do one more roll because I want to get to the social.
Right.
So what's the move that is interesting for you to have Venner take at this point?
Venner is never going to throw a joust under any circumstances, even if it would be beneficial. It's just not going to do it. But I can imagine a scenario, since Venner already defeated the person that really mattered, who's now fallen twice, thanks to Harvest as well. But the Man Mountain was the problem. So I would say, and this is what I would like to have happen. I don't exactly know what I'm going to need to do this, although I have a theory maybe. But I would like to be able to, I'd still like to try to win the joust. But I am not going to take an obvious advantage if I see it necessarily. So whereas I was going to do whatever it took to defeat, obviously short of cheating, because I didn't know that Rowan did that. So short of cheating, I would, I would do pretty much anything else to defeat the Man Mountain. With this person, I'm not going to do that because I respect this person and because I think I have enough political knowledge to say that this might be of some value if this is the same person that was lost during the White Beam incident. Also, if that's true that they have claims to White Beam, presumably he would also have pretty good knowledge of the sort of layout, right, of where a lot of the main things are, which might be helpful if we ever want to do stuff with.
He was a child in that keep.
And we also just got a child from that keep. I mean, an older child, but still. Okay, yeah, then I would, so that's what I'd like to have happen. I would like to try to win this joust, but I'm not going to take, unnecessary advantages. I'd like to, my ideal is that I win, but he feels like, all right, this guy, didn't try to make me look bad in front of the others. That's what I'd like to have happen. Of course, he could just beat me outright, but I'm going to try to win honorably if I can.
Cool. So this, I think to win is just going to be a risky standard ride. And I think I will end up having to fudge the number of rounds because I don't want to have to do too many more rolls for you.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, then I'm going to aim for ride, and I'm going to say I'm like so worried about the stress level. I don't know, but maybe this is where you use. I have one more stress available to. Oh no, but to push myself, I need 2 stress. All right, I guess I'm going to do the classic DongWon. Do you have a devil's bargain for me? Which I think DongWon asked like 6 times. What devil's bargain do you have for me, Satan?
Listen, I know what I like. Okay.
I think.
Oh, Shadow Mage gave me an inspiration. Thank you, Shadow Mage. All right, so I have an inspiration to work with.
I was going to say that the devil's bargain, because this is how this works, is to win you have to do something that does not endear him to you. So if you get an extra die if you let me tick one of a 4 o'clock that is he doesn't like you, like he doesn't like how the joust went.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take the inspiration.
Yep.
I'm going to hope for the best.
That gives you a bonus die and increased effect is what we decided last time, I think, because inspiration in D&D, I think, is more powerful than +1D in Forge in the Dark, and I want to respect the relative level of game impact.
Thank you. And thank you, Shadow, for doing that. So given that, is the disheartened thing going to have any effect on this?
It would reduce your effect, but having inspiration will get you back up to standard effect.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, that is neat. I agree. That's okay. All right. So I'm going to move this over there so people can see the map. All right. So we're going to go with ride. Okay, so you said position is risky?
Yes.
Okay. And the effect is still standard?
Yes.
And the bonus dice are going to be 1, right? Oh no, but it increases my effect, you said, yes?
But you would have reduced effect because of
compensates.
disheartened.
Yeah,
so
okay.
we're kind of
gotcha.
balancing everything out again.
All right, so then just a bonus die would be, so just one bonus die,
Correct.
I believe, right? Okay. Okay, here we go. Ride hard, ride fast. All right. All right, 5. I got something.
5. Okay. Risky standard.
Thanks, Shadow. I needed that.
Yeah, so I think
That would have been a 2.
what happens is you will win the joust clean and not like do anything to dishonor him.
Right.
But you will take level 1 harm exhausted, or actually let's do tired because it's level 1 harm.
Okay.
And your horse is done. Wisdom cannot keep riding.
Okay.
So you don't have a horse for the finals.
Oh. Okay. I thought that so I win this joust, but I don't have a horse.
But
So right, I will ride the Mayan Mountain into battle. Now the Mountain.
You've made your point.
Okay.
In terms of showing that you are a that you tilt with the best.
Okay.
And winning that means that Rob is out, and so he uses this moment to kind of make his pitch. Where when you kind of ride back to like shake,
mm-hmm.
he pulls off his helm, which he has not done before, and I threw my let me throw my casting here. So my face cast for Rob Fiorag is Chris O'Dowd, the actor Chris O'Dowd. He's mostly known for comedy roles, and I'm trying to find things that he was in that folks might know. He was in Get Shorty. I think he was he might have been Natalie Portman's date in Thor: The Dark World.
Oh my goodness.
Very bad date.
I'm gonna look this person up. And are you saying House Fianeg, by the way, or Fiorag? Is it the
Fiorag?
It is Fiorag.
They are from White Beam, and he kind of pulls that off and says, "You ride like someone I know."
I might have said the same. It's been some time, though.
Please take no offense, but it looks like your horse is done.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Rockod. Now I see. So he's been through more than a little. I'm fairly close to done myself, if I'm to be honest.
Well, you have one more tilt, so I have a bargain to offer you.
All right. What do you have?
My horse is steady and mild of temper. Her name is Endurance. And if you need a horse to ride her. All I ask is that you introduce me to your liege. Because if you know who I am, you know who sits in my family's halls. I do not have many friends. I need friends, for I am tired of sleeping away from home.
And so I kind of nod slowly and I say, wait, I say, 1 second, my daughter just came in. Yes, sweetheart. Okay, good night, my love. Sleep well, love you. Okay, puts back on the gravelly voice. And he says, you took a risk by coming here under that banner. If I introduce you to my liege, I'd be taking the same risk. if I do this, do I have your word that this is something for mutual benefit? And don't take this the wrong way. Not so that other friends that might not be our friends could be brought into the picture.
I have few friends left to me. If you are riding under a false banner as I am here, that is likely because you fear Sigane or you fear someone else.
It's not so much fear as biding one's time. That said, I take your offer. I'd thank you for it. Keep yourself safe around here. There are eyes. And when the time comes and the contest is over, I'll make the introduction.
Well, I will have to retrieve my horse.
And he nods, and I nod and I say, yes, I'll try to make sure that I ride upon her gently and carefully. I'd like to return her in the same condition.
Okay. So he and his fairly beleaguered young squire, you take care of all that stuff. And that was the moment that was more important to me than making you roll the joust again.
Yeah.
And I think you don't need to win this next joust to be invited to the high table.
Okay. Can I ask just quickly, you said his name, what was his full name again?
Rob Fiorag.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. That's fine. Is it Fjorag?
Feorag.
It was not anywhere close to what I was doing.
I
okay.
am not especially adept in Irish pronunciation, so I apologize if I'm absolutely butchering some of these. But because this is a fantasy world, we can make up the pronunciation.
Okay.
As you're coming away from that conversation, I think Harvest walks over and sort of like leans forward and pats your shoulders like, hey, you need a ride?
And I looked down.
Your horse isn't doing so good. I mean, next joust? Hop on.
No, I say, I think I've got someone, both the horse and the rider, that might help us. That armor of yours, how's it? How will you manage with it? I point to the, shivered, half shattered thing.
I just look down at it and look at it. It's like, it's just 3 pot lids hammered together.
They don't seem to be hammered together very much anymore.
Well, they got hammered apart, but easy to replace.
More easy to replace than you. That was a good fight.
Thank you. It's been impressive work out there, too.
I nod and I sort of, I assume at this point, because Cranel is bringing over wisdom that's exhausted, and I'm like, and I'm not the only one. Where have you seen Rowan?
I've been in the medic's tents.
All right. And I need to find Ciaran after this. This is all taking place before the last round, right? So I say, when this thing is done, before we get to the high table, we need to speak briefly as a group. I've got to talk to her and talk to them and find out what they need. And also whether or not we want other allies. We seem to be attracting a very merry group.
I've made some friends out there. Do you want me to go find Ciaran and bring them after your next ride?
And I nod and I say, yes, see if you can do that. By the way, was Drosten supposed to meet us, or were we supposed to meet Drosten afterwards? Does anyone remember, back in the forest? Because I'm wondering if it's okay, so...
I don't remember any specific discussion about Drosten's raiders in relationship to this sortie.
So there's just no way we're gonna know. So literally, we have no way of knowing that all this is going down. All right. So okay.
Greg, if you're okay with it, I think I'm just going to ask for this to be a fortune roll.
That's fine.
Because whether you win matters less at this point. So this is just a question of flavor and context.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
So no need to spend anything. The horse is good enough to not be a factor here.
Okay.
So this is just how well do you tilt against Lord only previously established for the TV audience that we are not.
Lord adversary, I see.
Yeah, because of how this has been framed, it's more about the relationships and the overall game.
Okay. All right, here we go. Lance at the ready. Let's go endurance. Oh, wait. A number of dice, yes. One die. Oh, no, I'm actually doing... No, yeah, I'm just doing one, because that's my right die, right? All right, number of dice. One. Oh, notes. Final joust against Lord Business. No, Lord Officer. and 3.
Okay. So I think you go the distance, but I will give an actual name to this. So this actually turns out to be like the third son of House Tarv. So this is the and it's like a lesser branch of House Tarv. So it's not as much of a big deal. Like, oh, everybody needs to let him win.
Right.
But that kind of okay, yeah, it's not unsurprising that a young member of a noble house renowned for mercenary prowess wins there, but he only barely wins.
Yeah, it's like the end of Rocky 1. You know,
if wisdom had not gotten so exhausted in the fight with the mountain, you would be able to ride with your horse, and mechanically it would. Well, we said it wasn't different, but you're fairly certain that you would have won there.
Okay.
And what that means is that I want to do that scene with y'all real quick, and then we can go to the kind of the high table.
Okay. And Harvest Melee was just a one big
one big round. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha, got it. Okay.
So if y'all want,
it better be, because I have 2 harm and only 3 stress left. So
yeah.
3 stress luxury. Used to dream of having 3 stress left.
To do your quick scene, then that's up to y'all. How do you kind of reassemble, and what do y'all want to go over?
I think I went up into the stands to find Ciaran, to relay Benner's message.
And then we'd have to find I guess we can't. It's probably not the best idea.
Somewhere we can actually go talk
right.
undetected.
And not dramatically be like, all right, all 3 of us, that probably would be a bad idea. But do it in some way that we can meet behind the stands, behind, because everyone's milling about probably.
Yeah, and timing wise.
Step over all the people who are humping under the stands and just
Yeah,
is that what's going on under the stands?
Greg,
I mean, it's like teenagers. It's bad.
Venner can have Cradle put up a small tent for you.
Okay.
So you'd get some measure of privacy there.
Okay. Okay, so we'll do that, and I guess all 4 of us, because I guess it's important to gather, find out what Rowan has gathered, what information Rowan's gathered as well, right? So maybe gather the 4 of us together, and I guess I would just briefly say, Splendour, I was impressed with your gathering of the audience's approval. Venner really does not know the whole deal about getting people to like him. That's not how Venner's great work there in pumping up the crowd. I guess that's what we do. But no, I mean, but Venner is trying to be sincere. Like and I was grateful for the support that they were able to give. And Harvest fought like the demon I've always known them to be. And I point that out to Harvest.
Of course.
And I say, I just wanted to pass along before this high table. The last one that I fought, or the one right before the finals of the joust. And I think Ciaran would probably know this person also, so I would say...
I would think so.
You remember the Fierags, Rob Fierag.
Yeah, they were hard done by.
That was them, under a false banner. I thought it might be, and they revealed themselves. He revealed himself at the end, and he said he's in need of friends. He offered me the use of his horse if I would introduce him to you. And, frankly, we could use some friends ourselves. I think he's telling the truth, but desperate men are dangerous men, and it's possible that the years have been cruel to him, and that he's decided to go down the wrong path. But I don't sense betrayal. It's up to you as to whether you're willing to meet him.
All things are possible, but I feel that someone from the Fierag working for the benefit of House Gearr is as likely as you working for the benefit of my uncle.
I just do a, automatically reaction I just usually do, like a cat with a hairball. So I say, all right. Right after the high table, I'll make sure to introduce him then. And hopefully by then, and I'm trying not to show it, but it's sort of like, because I'm pretty tired and like...
In old man pain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'll see what I can manage. I'm not looking forward to this next part of things.
You have my full faith, cousin.
I appreciate what you said to me, by the way. Thank you.
I know you will do what you must, and you will not waver, because you never have.
As everyone is done being kind. And like Rowan just kind of shoves past everyone and goes, it bears some mild noting that the Lady of the Bellheather merchants will be in attendance at this high table. Perhaps another opportunity to make allies, since we're declaring ourselves the murderers of wraiths now. I imagine that they would be in great favor of that.
A little more sticky considering who our other allies are.
If we can perhaps broker that truce between them, that might also be a mark in our favor. But I do
that would be the best.
Difficult.
That would be the best possible outcome, but difficult. Though, what is difficult is often worth doing.
So we're at about 11:10, and we usually try to wrap by 11:30. I could see wrapping this sortie by then.
Okay.
I could also see a version where we take a lot more time with the social. I would say that if we could finish the gain status part of the sortie, and then I would be happy to give y'all free flashbacks to later that night that we could cover, like, in free play that mixes in with downtime for next session.
So we do the high table.
Right.
We're able to do the high table.
We would do the high table and kind of y'all getting to do whatever reveal or appeal to Sagane that you wanted, and we try to see if we can do that in a few minutes.
Okay.
And then resolve the Drosten stuff and then wrap.
Sounds good.
I just want to do one last little thing before we head to the high table, which is, I think as we're going to split up and leave this room to head to the high table, I want to grab Ciaran's elbow and hold them back for a second. And I've kind of got my arm close to my side, covering my sort of cracked ribs, and I pull off the silver wrapped rock that I've had around my neck and hand it back to Ciaran and say, "Thank you for this. I think your gods protected me out there, and maybe even led me to victory. I think there's something to what you've been telling me."
And Ciaran reaches out and actually just wraps your hands back around it and says, "Then I think that you should keep holding on to it."
Okay.
We're all becoming heretics now.
I'd like that. Thank you.
Cool. So I have a little bit that I can do for Sienna, but earlier y'all had talked about kind of a big reveal or whatever that is. So I'm going to pitch a draft of what the first start of that scene looks like, and then I invite y'all to revise it or build on it as you see fit.
Cool.
So the field is cleared. There's y'all have some of this time to do all of what you're doing, to tend to any wounds, and we cut to the high table, and Vetter and Harvest are both invited to the high table. Harvest as the winner of the melee, Venner for kind of a display of prowess. And I think Rowan has scouted out the space enough that Rowan and Ciaran can be nearby if y'all would like to be. You found a place to be like waiting in the wings, or a place to kind of do a dramatic reveal from. I leave these very specifics of that up to y'all as you like. But the gist of what Lady Sienna says to the high table, kind of in the initial toast, is she calls out the winners of each of the events, and kind of asks you to stand and be recognized, and kind of celebrates martial prowess and the ways that it protects. And I'll just drop into character real quick. I had to learn to protect the people I love with the strength of my sword arm. That strength has been very kind to me. It has won my love. It has guided my heir. And she kind of points to her daughter, Unis, again, who has been kind of there and watching. Una is like 20-ish, maybe early 20s. And then Sienna continues, and I will need more strong arms in the years to come, I expect. Those of you who pay attention to politics know that things have changed. And if you have paid attention to history, you know that things rarely stop changing. And so I wish to see Sigane become a name renowned in the history books. And I would ask that you all, through your blood and sweat and tears, but not too many of the blood and the tears, add to the well for my pen, where I will write our names in history. Now let's drink. And then she kind of pounds the table and celebrates to the victors. And like that's the kind of extent of her speechifying. But if y'all want to cut in somewhere there, the framing, I toss that to y'all.
Did we discuss the possibility of having Ciaran make a sort of dramatic reveal at this point?
That was the plan.
I think we did, right? Now the question is, because I just had this image of Ciaran being like, your words speak truth, and if you wish to see, you wish to bring more people as part of this changing world, I would ask you to look at the heroes that I bring you, like something about like basically like you've seen the strength of our position with Harvest and with Venner and with me, whoosh, you know, and like reveal. I don't know.
And I actually
Exactly.
Did we decide
uncloaked, you know?
Did we decide to lean into the Ciaran's role in terms of putting the wraiths down? Because I think I have an idea of how to segue this into bringing Ciaran into this moment.
Yeah, they
that's
have
where we
the
really
silver
want to be.
chain. That,
Okay, I think when she toasts to the victors, Harvest, I'm going to stand up and say, to the victorious dead. A sword arm brings strength, but it also brings unrest. And the restless dead have plagued our lands for too long, and this must be addressed. And there's an answer in front of us. And I know, because I have made more than my share of wraiths in my time. And I believe it is time that we have a Splendour who can address the curse on our lands. And I turn back and hold my hand out to bring Ciaran out.
At which point, yes, I think that's a good intro because we've already got the rumor about the wraiths and all that. And so that Ciaran will just kind of like walk up.
I got my head on a swivel, by the way, as this is happening. I'm like looking to see if anyone's got like the arrow from the. I'm like, you know. So sorry.
I think I want to establish very specifically that Crobhan is a kingdom that holds hospitality and the kind of the guest right in the same manner that is very common, at least in like Western European civil cultures that I'm familiar with. And specifically, the god of paths walks the countryside in disguise and rewards those who practice hospitality. That is the folklore of Crobhan.
Okay.
So Rowan's successful roles get you to the point where the two of y'all who were not combatants got to sit at the tables and have broken Sagane's bread. So you are covered by hospitality. And I want to make that clear here. So Venner has not as much to be worried about.
No, yeah, but I'm also making sure I'm trying to read reactions in the sense of if anyone's like, you know,
even a hint of hostility.
Yeah, the murderous gaze that will later come back in episode 5, season 2, you know, like that kind of thing.
Cool. Yep. So back to you, Alex.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'm rolling in the intimidation that Harvest brought from my performance on the battlefield there.
Yeah.
Right. Is Venner kind of throwing back his disguise cloak as well in this?
I was just wanting to be like super dramatic, like Ciaran get the whole spotlight. But yeah, if Ciaran does that, and we all
let me have a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why I didn't want to.
So Ciaran will drop the cloak off. They're wearing like their fancy kind of like, sort of quasi-religious robes and their shiny breastplate, etc., etc. They look really cool. They've got the silver chain, and they say, "Cousin, I appreciate the honor that you have shown my two best warriors." And they point at Harvest and Venner. Now is your moment, Venner.
So I was just like, so I kind of rise slowly. Is there any? Okay, so I understand the thing about hospitality. Is there anyone from House Gearr here right now that's like that is?
No.
God damn it! Is there anyone like?
No, we don't want anyone from Gearr here. That's good.
I guess not. No, we maybe not, but we do want the message. But we do want the message to come back that there's a threat to them somewhere.
Oh,
right?
There are enough people from other provinces that this is absolutely going to get out.
Okay, so then is the Man Mountain there?
Yes.
Ah, lovely. I'm going to stare right at the Man Mountain as the cloak comes off. And I'm going to look and nod.
I think his stein cracks.
Just like
in his hands.
And I say, get that man a replacement. And then I sit down slowly.
I want so badly for someone to do a thing that I cannot do because it doesn't have as much impact. But I want either Venner or Harvest to like just gently rest one of my daggers next to the Avon's Archer that actually won that leg of the tournament. Just like put it within
That sounds like a
their
harvest
line
thing.
of sight.
It sounds like a harvest thing because harvest would do it and be like really like upbeat about it. Like, oh, I just wanted you to see. You know what I mean?
I think it's not sure that I'm going to do that. I think I will take one of the daggers that you've given me and use it to cut my meat, like visibly in front of, you know, while seated next to the archer, right? Like, yeah.
That definitely works, yes.
And, you know, I think I'll just like kind of be just around and be like, hey, friend, how's it going? You know, like, yeah.
Oh, man.
Very cool. So,
And
Alex, did you want to continue?
So I think the other point they're going to make once they've said, you've honored my champions. And then they're going to say, and you have seen our metal is stronger than, I'm trying to think of the word I want for this. Who is the Man Mountain kind of there repping?
The Man Mountain is a sworn sword of the Greater House Tarv.
Okay. Because I remember it was like a big deal that we kicked his butt twice because it just
He's one of the most renowned warriors in the kingdom.
I love that you forgot though the house for a moment. Just like, what's the house? Who is it?
Well,
what
because
house?
he's so
What house?
much built up on his own, right? Yeah.
And you've seen that their metal has bested what has been offered twice. I think that makes our position clear. And we thank you for breaking bread with us. And we would certainly love to speak.
You would absolutely get that meeting. I think a lot of people don't know what to make of this because this is like politics above their head. So I think it only goes a couple of minutes before Lady Sienna kind of steps away, and not a food serving servant, but like more like an aide or a major domo comes over to you, Ciaran, and says, the lady would be most appreciative if you were to join her in her tent, and wishes to make it clear once again that you are a guest of House Gearr.
We thank you, and it would be our privilege to join her.
Okay, so I think I'm fine to just cut straight to that. Any of y'all who want to be there can be there, but Sienna does have armed guards there, so she's not gonna let a bunch of people who've shown off to be badasses in a room with her alone. But they are not threatening you.
That's
Ciaran,
fine,
do
but
you want
also
harvest there?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I would say Ciaran wants Venner there, and we'll kind of like give Harvest the eye, like, do you want to come? Because I know this is not your scene.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go find Coleman, be in Colm's tent.
They just pat Harvest on the shoulder and say, have fun. You've earned it.
The bad shoulder. It's like, oh.
No!
The other shoulder.
The good one.
And so, yeah, I think in private, Sienna says, I'd heard that you were back. I didn't know you'd be so gutsy.
We play the hand we're dealt. To our best advantage.
My hand is House Gearr's silk fist up my ass to my stomach.
I had heard that. It sounds very uncomfortable. Would you like a hand? That's not up your ass.
I don't see how any of my kin live long enough to pass a keep down to Una if Gearr continues as they do. If you can change that, then I think we can work together.
I don't know if you had heard, cousin, the terrible rumor about House Gearr's heir going missing.
I wish it was me who did it.
I might know who did it.
Oh, really?
It might have been us.
Now, trade has been somewhat disrupted in these past months. But if that ransom is open, I would be happy to negotiate taking it off your hands.
What I look for is not quite simply money, though of course we all speak that language. I wish an alliance with you, cousin, and I wish for you to have at least a truce with my other allies. Because I think we all could benefit from carving up Gearr in the end, in the long game.
So this is where I'll ask for the roll. I think you've come in with a really strong position with 2 of your vassals showing incredible martial prowess, and you've made a good pitch, and she's in a bind. But I think the thing that's going to be hard is getting her sold on a cessation of hostilities with Drostan's raiders. And
Yes.
a better role here is going to end you with a higher status relationship with House Gearr. So this is going to be a risky, what action do you want to take here?
I think this is going to be a sway.
That makes sense to me. I think it would have the most effect. I think you would be at risky great for sway because she really needs allies.
Do we know? My sense was that House Gearr was eminently. House Gearr was eminently practical, and she just said that they're having issues with trade, and part of the problem with trade has been Drostan's raids.
Yeah.
I'm being silent because it's not my place to speak here unless Ciaran wants me to, but I'm wondering if there's that congressional hearing moment where I could lean forward and be like, they could get better trade. You know what I mean? Like one of those deals. Because that's
for sure. Yeah.
So I think I would probably just say.
That is why I brought you.
I would probably say something to the effect of, the trade will be a lot easier if they're not dealing with Drostan's people. And if they're not trying to arrest Drostan's people, Drostan would probably go for it also.
Yeah, I think Venner can definitely add an assist. I think what makes sense
Also
to
because
me
I know
is,
Drostan, so that...
is if you make it clear in the pitch that this is what this means, this is specifically what else you get, is I can work with Drostan's raiders to have them
I mean, basically, presumably she's not going to accept the pitch if I don't tell her who my other allies are, which will be like, yes, I've allied myself with Drostan's raiders, not because I want to attack you, but because I want to broker a peace between the two of you so we can all fight our common enemy. And with trade no longer getting interrupted, because Drostan would like to be legitimately recognized, which I am willing to do once we have carved Gearr up like a roast with enough fat for us all, there will be enough trade for everybody.
So I think you can take that as a bonus die or increased effect, but you're already at risky great.
So I'll take the bonus die. I am very nervous about these dice, okay? I am even tempted to be like, can I just take some stress or something just to get another one, just so I feel safer? Because I don't trust D6s because they're assholes.
So on your sheet, you have fine bottle of whiskey, which I think we could represent as fine spirits that you could bring out. So that it could be a bottle of wine, it could be the whiskey, it could be something else. That certainly that could be worth a +1d here.
Yes.
Normally, items like this impact effect, but because you already have great effect, I think here it would be fine to do a bonus die.
Okay, so that'll give me 2 for my sway and 2 bonus die. So I
And
cannot.
you can push for an extra die as well.
I am gonna push for an extra die because I fucking need this.
You're like the only one with stress available to do it too.
Well, yeah,
You know?
I have been saving myself for this moment. I have 0 stress. I am so chill because I was like, this is my butt puckering second.
Yeah.
Like,
And the nice thing there is, even if you get a consequence, you can resist it and be pretty confident that you won't stress out.
and that's 2 stress, right?
2 stress for a push. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna push. All right, so that gives me 3 bonus dice.
Yep. Assist, item, push.
Yes. Okay. Oh god.
make it
All
happen.
right, I'm gonna.
Make it rain.
Okay, 5, 3,
Woo.
4, 2, 3. So I think so you do it. The consequence would be that that Sagane's status with Drostan's Raiders, which is at -2, would not move to -1, but you can resist that.
I will resist that.
So we need to resist.
So
it, yeah.
basically, what she says is that she's willing to talk terms and to figure out how you all can defeat Gearr, but Drostan has cost me too much. I cannot promise you that I will not continue, I will not repeal the bounties on his men, is what she would say, and then you can talk her out of it.
Okay. Yeah. I am gonna talk my little butt off.
Okay.
Well, there's about to not be any Drostan's Raiders, so
I know. We're gonna get all this stuff. All right, we did it. Drostan.
Yeah, and then they're all
Drostan,
dead. It's fine.
Drostan, and it's a scene out of Mulan, just like the whole like,
They won't
just
be
like
all dead.
everyone's gone.
All right. So
If
how
anything
does
happens to Keely, that would be my villain origin story.
Yeah, exactly.
how am I resisting?
So if you're doing a social resist of like a counter argument or like reiterating the points and like telling that, something like that, you would roll 4 dice because you have dots in everything in resolve. This is the thing you do. So it would cost you 6 stress minus your highest individual die result on that roll with 4D, which is with.
I
so
can take it though. I can take it.
If you rolled all 1s, it would cost you 5 stress to resist.
And I still would have 1 stress to spare. It's okay.
Just everyone staggers out of this camp. Just
Okay, so
wow.
I need to do a fortune roll, is it, or
So if you
is it just
click
like-
on resolve,
okay?
it will be 0 bonus dice, but you will have the 4 from your action, from your attribute.
What is my consequence? Because right now it just says a consequence.
Consequence is bounties.
Hey. Oh, it's not letting me change it. I don't know.
Huh.
Oh. No, actually, sorry. That was just my computer having a problem. Okay. Here we go. Bonus day 0.
Okay, so that's 4, 5, 4, 6. So it costs
Yeah.
you 0 stress. You can basically shoot down that descent pretty easily, and you don't feel like it cost you anything with Ciana. That you laid it all out and you sold her on it. So that is a successful gain status sortie.
Nice.
I think we will wait and do the rest of the reckoning in the next session. But first, we're going to cut back to the fight, and I'm going to make a pitch to Brandon
No.
of whether he's going to accept a devil's bargain.
The whole fight has been a devil's bargain.
Oh, devil, what do you have planned for me this evening?
So there's 2 ways this can go.
Mm,
Oh, boy.
okay.
I guess there's 3
It's a
ways.
good start.
One of them is
Wait,
probably
wait.
pretty bad. Pretty bad.
I just want to make a note for the sake of everyone watching that I'm pretty sure the rules never actually established that the GM can just pile devil's bargains and ask you to choose. But I love it a great deal, so I want to hear all of these things.
It's devil's
yes.
options.
So there's 3 ways this goes.
Mm-hmm.
No bargain. We roll the dice as standard, and it is impossible for Drostan's raiders to not be routed. It might happen that the Slua are also routed, but it's fairly unlikely because Drostan's raiders would need to roll a 1 or more 6. Whereas the Slua, all they have to do is be able to roll. So that's if nothing happens. The devil's bargain that I would say is because the Fianag witches are allied with Drostan's raiders, Rose and other beings, other familiars, associates, and summoned beings aligned with the Fianag witches arrive to give Drostan's raiders cover to flee without taking substantive losses.
We essentially do a golden compass. Yes, understood.
Yeah. So they quit the field, but they will not get the prize, and they will be in a worse position moving forward because the Sluach will keep coming after them. The most bargainy version is that we flash back to Rowan's conversation with Roz, where she says, "There's a bad thing coming, and I see it clearly enough that I think I can do something. But if I tell you specifically what it is, I don't think I can do it." To do it to the fullest of its extent will have a great cost. And we would both need to bear that cost. You would sit with this for the rest of your days. But knowing who you are and what you've said of these last few months, it would make a great difference for your efforts. And so the big bargain is if Rowan takes a scar, then Drostan's bandits get to win here. And it's basically like a magical sacrifice that you make. And the way that it then manifests is some like pronounced thing that we call a scar, right? And you can name it whatever it is. It can be, you describe what it is, but it's one of your 4 scars, and narratively and emotionally, it is like a big thing. Like it's Rowan doing a blood sacrifice, but it's like spiritual, emotional. So if you say yes to that, then Drostan's bandits win, no dice rolls.
Can I ask a mechanical question?
Yeah.
Would taking the scar also clear stress the way taking a scar normally would, or would that be independent of this?
You only have 1 stress box left. I don't know that.
Because I'm definitely not going to get a scar if the next time I get in any intense situation, the only choice I have is between not doing anything and taking another scar.
Scar. Although we're going into downtime, right?
Downtime will be the next thing.
Yeah.
This is
and
a lot.
So the kind of medium option is, because this was a big thing that I threw at the crew, or that I threw at the narrative to show the counterpunch from Gearr, it's not the result of a completed clock. So it was a bit of a heavy move by me. And so I'm willing to say that if Drostan's Raiders gives up on their prize, they can leave. That's the only cost for that thing. But if you take the scar, they win, and they will go up to tier 2.
Jesus.
Wow.
I mean,
A reminder that Blades proper, and as a result, Rebel Crown, has no way to not get scars or undo scars if you suffer what is essentially trauma. That's it. You just live with that trauma for the rest of your days.
I also want to point out one other thing mechanically. If you take a scar in downtime, if you do not address that, if you don't, what's the move? Indulge your vice, solace, whatever it's called.
Solace, yeah.
Take solace, then you will add the amount of stress as scars you have. So if you don't take solace and you have a scar, you will become scarred again, is what I'm trying to tell.
I think it's you just take a point of stress.
Yeah, but he's at 8 of 9. Or they're at 8 of 9.
I would allow when you take a scar, you don't have to seek solace your next turn.
Okay.
Even if I don't undo all of Rowan's stress. So I wouldn't hit them double like that. But that's a good point to bring up.
So here's what I will say. One, I really cannot deal with either stress or a scar or both, and I want to not have to think about that math as much as possible. So I'm just prepared to sit down and write a poem our next session so I can deal with my stress. That's one. 2, narratively, I both like the energy of Rowan not knowing anything and having to learn it. And like, it is not as fulfilling the energy of like granting Drostan's Raiders a win so much as Drostan's Raiders having to retreat. So I think what obviously stands to reason as a result is the witches essentially save them from being ambushed. So if that is still an option on the table, I think I will settle with that.
Okay, so the middle option.
But I want to, and I guess you could tell me whether this is a stretch or not, because I am not Drostan. But I still want to roll for the scene that occurs just before the witches arrive.
Okay.
For a dramatic effect to be decided by the roll.
Absolutely. Let's do that roll. So that's 2d6 per side.
Right, hold on.
So we're almost doing a scene level roll and then resist and rewrite the scene. Is one way of thinking about it. This is a nice thing about playing RPGs with experienced role players who are also storytellers in other forms, is that I can put big choices on the table for people.
Well, and it's like, this is straight leverage, right? Like, that's not how it happened. This is how it happened.
So Brandon, if you're ready, we can do with.
I am ready. I'm waiting.
Okay.
My finger is on submit.
3, 2, 1, action. So that would result in Drostan's Raiders being routed and the Sluach not being routed. So that's what would have happened.
Okay, but I want to make a case for a thing. Seeing as the singular greatest result out of all of those 4 dice is Drostan's 5.
Mm-hmm.
I want to scar Katrina. I just want to like wing Katrina on the arm or something with a crossbow bolt.
So I would say if Drostan's bandits win, Katrina absolutely takes a scar. So you would take a scar and Katrina would take a scar.
Okay,
you are just like making like
fair.
Satan just keeps calling back and being like, did I tell you about the extended warranty on your car.
You know, the other thing about the undercoat in the car is you get the undercoat.
Oh my word!
Would you like
am
heated
fine.
seats?
I am fine with both. I am fine with both of those, so long as I just want Drosten to come back and say, "Hey, a thing happened, but I did something."
Yeah, I think if you take the scar, then if you're going to say yes to that, I will describe cool magic shit.
And you can take really 4 scars, right? Before
you can.
Like,
if you have 3 scars, you can still be in the game. If you take a 4th scar, you have to retire from the.
If you take a 4th scar, you go to a farm upstate. It's fine.
Oh God!
I joined retirement in Long Island.
I joined the Wild Hunt for real.
Rowan's fine. They joined the circus. They're happier there. They're on the trapeze. It's okay.
Nah. They have to retreat. I do not like the dramatic energy of any of the other things that they're retreating.
Okay. Yeah. That is fine by me. So I think we get, if we see the moment where it's breaking bad for the Raiders and they are getting encircled and they would start getting killed. Mm-hmm. And then there is a clear, strong eagle's cry, and Rose swoops down and snaps a bolt as Katrina puts it into her crossbow. And then behind Rose and around, there are snakes and boars and other birds and just a swarm of various creatures, some larger than normal, some that are just seem to be whoever was around, and they swarm the Sluach and give Drosten's raiders just enough time to slink off. And the Sluach give chase and are run off the road by a charging elk. And so I'm being very clear that Drosten's raiders get away, and the Sluach do not instantly find the hideout where Aiden is, because I'm not going to take that away from y'all. But you've seen how dangerous the Sluach are, and Drosten's raiders have been put back on their heels. So you win some, you lose some. And that is episode 4 of Splendor and Shadow.
We didn't destroy an ally. Good work, everyone. We have more than one ally still.
You have the potential to get another ally when we come back and do downtime. We're going to do all the reckoning for like what you get for a successful sortie at the start of next session. So I'm not going to take that away from y'all. You're going to get it. It's going to be some coin. I have ideas of how much that status changes. There's a couple of other things that we'll have to get through, but it is late, and so we should wrap.
Mike,
does anybody have anything else before we wrap?
Just one question about XP, because I don't remember if we have done any XP. Like, I'm not sure if I ever did or if you did it off stream.
We need to count XP for you, and I will circle back to you on Discord.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, trying to do XP live, I think would carry us later on, and I don't want to keep anyone.
I just wanted to remember because I don't think I ever did it before. So
yeah, it's all good. We'll make sure that we get you counted. If you approach things like Harvest, you just roll Desperates until you get more points.
Right, exactly.
In your actions.
That's the real strat. That's the speedrun strat.
Venner got a fair amount last time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's episode 4. I want to say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to my long-suffering cast for dealing with the bumps in the road and showing off your respective characters' awesomeness. I was really glad that we got to see Harvest as like a wrecking ball, and that I got to torture Brandon with Drosten's Raiders, and then do some more stuff thinking about how Roz and the witches are connected. The cool moment with the horse, and then the chat with Rob for Venner, and then Alex getting to do the cool big social move as Ciaran the Splendour, since that's more or less their deal. So that's all very cool. And I will invite everybody to quickly remind everyone who is watching or watching now or watching later. We apparently have some raiders. Hello, everyone from Wenchkin.
Yeah, thanks, Wenchkin.
Thanks so much for joining us. This has been Speculate.
Raiders, you say?
Not is it Drossman's Raiders? This is our game of Rebel Crown. Rebel Crown is a game by Michael Dunn O'Connor. You can find it at narrativedynamics.itch.io. And Alex, if you want to tell everyone where they can find you real quick.
Oh, sure. I have been Alex Acks, your Splendor. I am online at Katsudonroy on Twitter. You can find me at katsudon.net or patreon.com/AlexAx, where I write stuff. I've written books. It's pretty cool. Biker Space Witches.
I am DongWon Song. I've been Harvest the Devoted here. And you can find me on Twitter at DongWon. And I'll toss it to Brandon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon O'Brien. I am 1/3 of the co-hosts of Speculate, alongside Greg and Mike. I am also a writer and a poet and a game designer from Trinidad and Tobago. I actually have a lot of my games available on itch.io, which still has like 3-ish hours left in its itch creator day. So if you wanted to buy some of my games at therisingtides.itch.io, that would be very rad. And also, I'm just going to share in chat a list of other BIPOC game designers who also have some cool things on itch if you want to support them in the hours before creator day ends, so they can get a greater cut of those proceeds, and you help support them make cool things. But other than that, you can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tides, and my website is brandonobrien.space.
Cool. I've been Michael R. Underwood, your GM for this game. As said, I'm one of the co-hosts at Speculate. If you like what we are doing here, or if you've been listening to or watching Case of the Cindered Seal, we would love to have your direct support on Patreon. Right now, our Patreon goes entirely to paying Rudy Basso, our audio editor, for the audio episodes of Case of the Cindered Seal and any special episodes that we do. We really love what Rudy does for us. We'd love to be able to be even more consistent in being able to send him work, because from that base, we're then in a better position to be able to think about what other things we want to do with the show. We all have lots of ideas of things we'd like to do, but we are right now constrained by our basically production capacity economically. I know it's a tough time for a lot of people. So if you want to keep watching and listening, we are very happy to have you hearing and watching and chatting with us and hear what you think about the show regardless. If you're in a position to be able to kick in $1 a month, $3 a month at patreon.com/speculate, we would be especially grateful. We've had some new patrons in the last couple of months and we're really happy to see them. So that is the hardest sell I will give for that, which is not too hard. Trust me, I can do worse.
Which leaves me to wrap up with this really fun game that I enjoyed a lot. And I immediately, when the Fearig witches showed up at the end, I had this image of the scene from the Beastmaster movie where the bird creatures fall up and just start flapping the wings around and taking out. I know that's not exactly how it happened, but it was a good visual one way or the other, Mike. Again, let me thank Mike for wonderful GMing tonight, and the tension of constantly worrying about whether Drostan's bandits were even going to be around by the time we were done. That was a big part of it. But this was a great time, and you should follow all of these lovely people and all the things that they do here, there, and everywhere. And I'm going to let these folks go, but before I do that, I will just say I have been Venner Crace, the Vengeant, and I have a very tired horse, but apparently a very cool ally who gave me another horse temporarily, and that was cool too. It's getting real, y'all. We're going to see how things break down in downtime before we break down, hopefully. At least that's the hope. But I want to thank all of the amazing players and our GM. So chat, can we get some love for the amazing players of Alex Acks, DongWon Song, Brandon O'Brien, and Mike Underwood. And special thanks to Mike and Brandon as my Speculate co-hosts for being awesome as well. Thank you, everyone. And players/GM, I will see you folks very soon. Bye for now. Alrighty. Whoops. I jumped off that too early. So that is going to do it for this. This was a lot of fun. This is a game that I really liked the concept of the game conceptually, but I didn't know exactly what to expect. And it's been pretty awesome. First of all, just personally, I'm really enjoying playing Venner, who is a character that I like a lot. It's a character that I appreciate, and I am glad that I get the opportunity to play him. And I like sort of the relationships that have been built up with some of the other characters, all of the other characters in different ways. That's been a lot of fun. But yeah, that tension of having constantly worrying about whether Drosson's Raiders are even going to exist has been a big deal. So, if you like what you saw and heard, as they said, please support us over on the Speculate Patreon if you can. Also, I should say a few of those bucks per month allows you to get access to our behind the scenes stuff where, for example, Mike puts up his prep, his GM prep. We have some special episodes where we talk about awesome games that are in the industry and stuff like that. So we have bonus content and things like that, and access points for you to use. And obviously it supports us over on the Speculate Patreon. So if you can do that, that would be lovely. But I want to, beyond that, I want to mention that if you like Speculate, you're going to get a chance to see more of them, because tomorrow evening I'm going to be playing some Metroid Prime, and I hope folks will be able to join me for that. That's always a good time. And then Sunday, we have the return of the other Blades in the Dark campaign currently running, and that, of course, is Blades in the Dark Case of the Cindered Seal. I should say the other currently running, the currently related to Blades in the Dark. Obviously, this is Rebel Crown, but the other Speculate game we've got running right now is Blades in the Dark Case of the Cindered Seal with Yori Kusano and Yoi Gawain Lin, and again, Mike Underwood, of course, and Valerie Valdez, with Brandon O'Brien taking the GM seat. And so if you want to see more of that awesome campaign, you can be here for Sunday. So next couple of days should be a lot of fun. Some Metroid Prime, and then some Case of the Cindered Seal, Blades in the Dark stuff. Otherwise, I do want to mention, oh my God, Dragon Spear with the Prime sub. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dragon. I appreciate it. I appreciate you overlooking my, my jersey that does not fit the, Manchester United theme. So I appreciate that. Very, very kind of you to look beyond that. Thank you, Dragon, seriously. Again, just as a reminder to everyone as well, long-term schedule, I'm going to be going to Three Rivers Comic Con next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend with Little Arv, so I'll be down there. I might try to do a couple of live streams from there if I can. And then the weekend after that, of course, is ArvCon, and again, I'm going to be announcing the schedule for that. I announced officially the corporate sponsors yesterday on Twitter. I'm going to be announcing the official schedule for ArvCon next week, and it's going to be an awesome event. It already looks really cool, and I'm really excited for it, and I'm really hoping that we can raise a lot of money for what is a really important cause, and that we can come together as a community, because that's the stuff that I like to do. So yeah, that's the deal with that. You're going to want to make sure that you have your calendars marked for when that actually happens. Otherwise, if you like what you saw and heard today on the channel, again, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. Please sub to us over there. Please check out our Discord channel with !ArvCord. Twitter is !ArvTweets. Website for all of that, arvanelaron.com. The shop is !ArvShop. That's the merchandise area to get Infinity and Beyond stuff, Adventures in Middle-earth stuff, and soon to be Esper Genesis stuff as well. !Arv Treon is the Patreon right there, sitting at 23 patrons, $2.14 per month. Very excited about that's starting to tick back up again, so hopefully we can keep that going. But thank you so much if you have been supporting us over there. And of course, subbing to the channel, as Dragon Spear was just kind enough to do, also allows you to get those awesome custom sub badges and emotes and things like that. So any support that people can give there is always helpful. Plus, you can get inspirations to help the players. I needed that inspiration today, let me just say. So thank you to Shadow Mage for giving me the inspiration, because Venner needed it at that time. So thank you so much to Shadow Mage, and thank you to all of you who have supported us in that way, because again, that really does make a difference. And on the publishing side, Icarus for my, now I can officially say, silver medal winning Independent Book Publishers Association Benjamin Franklin Award for Best Graphic Novel in 2020. That won the silver medal in that contest. One more contest to go so far. That's the Midwest Book Awards next month. So yes, that is very exciting, and that just happened. That is Icarus. You can get that in both digital and print form if you click over there. Greyshade KS is my Greyshade Kickstarter. Athos Arts, the publisher for Icarus, is also going to be publishing Greyshade, and that's going to be coming out in the next month or two. And then the Greyshade Kickstarter is going to be doing the second 2 books in that series, plus a tabletop role-playing game, plus a tabletop, plus a board game, plus an audiobook. So we've got a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out as a part of that Kickstarter. That's going to be late summer, early fall, but Greyshade, the book, will be published in the next couple of months, so any support that people can give by checking that out is appreciated. And of course, Library, that's Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is my 5e adventure and source book, and from Alligator Alley Entertainment, available in digital right now, soon to be available in print as soon as it gets off the freaking customs dock where it's been sitting there for way too much. Congratulations on the Benji. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you. Where it's been sitting there for freaking ever. So please, for the love of God, customs, please let the thing go. So there's that. And of course, as always, BLM, Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. And Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others if you need help, and to reach out to others when they need help as well. Last thing I want to mention is that the other thing I'm going to be doing tomorrow is officially unveiling the top donator prize. So tomorrow I will be showing you this gorgeous thing that was just sent to me by Rock God. You are not going to want to miss that, and you're definitely going to want to say to yourself, man, if I could just be the top donator, I get this awesome prize. Obviously, we're grateful to everyone who donates. We're grateful to everyone who's able to support us, even if it's an incredibly small amount from your point of view. Anything like that, of course, helps us and moves us towards our overall goal. So all of that is really helpful. That said, the top donator prizes are just kind of a fun way for people to get invested in what we do, and we have 2 of those top donator prizes this year. One of them is Rock God's amazing thing that was just sent, which I'll unveil tomorrow. And the second one is from Prince Justin, and that is a metal print of a really awesome photograph that Prince Justin took, also an excellent photographer, which I have now had the chance to see, and that's going to go to the second top donator. So you're going to want, either way, one of the top 2 donators, you're going to get these awesome prizes. And I'm very excited that people, and appreciative of the generosity that people are able to do as far as that is concerned. So I think that is going to do it for me for today. I'll be back between 7 and 8 p.m. tomorrow, or later on today, I guess now officially, for Metroid Prime, the marathon session of that. But let's see who we're going to raid today. Because we do want to do that. Let's see. So we're going to be raiding someone. Oh, I think I know. I have 2 possibilities here. Maybe... Okay, I know who it's going to be. So this is going to be a person that will be worth rating, I promise. This will be good. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream today. Special thanks to our Speculate listeners and Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. Thank you as well to the wonderful players today, Alex Acks, DongWon Song, Brandon O'Brien, and of course, the amazing Mike Underwood as the GM. Thank you to Mike and Brandon as my co-host of Speculate, who are also contributing to ArvCon. Thank you, thank you. And thank you as well to all of you. Thank you to Wenchkin for the raid. Thank you to all those who subbed and supported and tweeted and spread the word, because that is very much appreciated. So thank you, all of you lovely people. I also want to thank, of course, my wonderful mods, Dragon Spear, Rock God, Shadow Mage, The Rising Tides, and Trifity Mats. Thank you all so much for being here and being the best mods in the business. Thank you as well to my subscribers. Thank you to Dragon for re-upping tonight. Thank you to Rock God, to Shadow Mage, to The Rising Tides. Thank you to Shadowed as well for doing a quick overlay fix for me and for also putting together that Rebel Crown command. Thank you so much, Shadow. I'm glad you're feeling a little better. Thank you to The Rising Tides. Thank you to Trifity Mats, to Crit Twitch, to Lone Wolf. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsel, Prince Chustin, and of course Turbo Tango. Thank you so much for the support of the channel with the subscriptions. Thank you to my wonderful viewers. Thank you to 69 Feats, Anamoxia. Thank you to Ave Thinker. I'm going to move this over here. Thank you to Broke My Stream Deck. Thank you to Divinorium. Thank you to Emerald Eye, Gigafrost, Lolliot. Thank you to Live Suing. Thank you to What's Up Live. Thank you to Nerdy Dreams, Nonstop. What's Up Non? Thank you to Paulina. Thank you to Raina Marabella. Thank you to Streamers Area, which might be a bot, but maybe not. Thank you to Ton Toms. Thank you to the Wisey Fox. Thank you to you, Christensen. Thank you to V&K. Thank you again to the raid, for the raid to Wenchkin, and thank you to Yellow Sarg. Thank you all lovely people for being awesome. And please stick around now. We are going to do a raid, and the way raids work are very simple. If you are not a sub, you're going to do this. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you're going to do this. The Arvanauts have landed, and we're going to have an Arvany Hype, Arvany Woe, Arvany Roar. You can also do Arvany Witch, Arvany Woe, Arvany What, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love. All of those Arvanys are available to you. So please do that when you are brought over auto-magically. Thanks everyone for being here and being awesome, and I will catch all of you lovely people very soon. Until that time, thanks, and everyone be good to each other. Have a good night.
So here are all of my encouragements for you all to make terrible decisions, as I am the GM.
Ash has a crossbow bolt in her side, 0 dots in skirmish, and 0 dots in wreck. And I'm so excited to see this get even worse. So that's one vote for escalation.
Skelly has 3 guns and all the ammo.
Crossroads has no guns, but Crossroads is a gun powered by ghosts.
Have we established that your guns are special to you? I feel like we're establishing that your guns are special to you.
Before this crew, they were my only friends.
You've known us for 5 days. You've known those guns a lot longer.
These are my babies.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to harvest, this doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
This is not.
No.
This is
Like,
not
don't do
this.
this.
Yeah.
Doing this to an executioner?
Yeah, that's not
I'm
what you
just
want.
like this, like
We call that the go sign, you know? Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
This theme's great. I will do a fortune roll. Notes. No thoughts. Head empty. 1! I